When a billionaire's heart stops beating at 32, he doesn't see heaven. He sees the face of the woman who vanished 5 years ago. The same woman who's about to walk through a restaurant door and shatter everything he's rebuilt. Welcome to a story about second chances that nobody asked for, connections that money can't buy, and the brutal truth that sometimes survival means abandoning the people who need you most. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, drop your city in the comments below. I want to see how far this story travels. Hit that like button, and let's begin where most lives end, with a heart that refuses to quit. The human heart beats roughly 100,000 times a day. Nathan Coles stopped at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in his home office, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased a city he'd conquered but never actually seen. He didn't clutch his chest dramatically like they do in movies. There was no theatrical gasp, no reaching toward the light. One moment he was reviewing acquisition documents for a tech startup in Singapore, and the next his vision tunneled, his lungs forgot how to pull air, and the expensive Persian rug rushed up to meet his face. The last coherent thought he had before everything went dark was absurdly mundane. I left my coffee mug on the contract. Then nothing. Then everything. Pain exploded through his chest like someone had replaced his rib cage with broken glass. His body convulsed once, twice, dragging oxygen back into lungs that had decided they were done. The ceiling came into focus. Recessed lighting he'd paid a designer $18,000 to install and had never really looked at until this exact moment. Nathan lay there, sprawled on the floor of his office, heart hammering irregularly, and thought, this is how it happens. This is how you die alone in a room full of expensive things. He was 32 years old. He had one, $7 billion in assets. A daughter sleeping 2 floors above him, and absolutely nobody who would check on him until his assistant arrived at 7 a.m. tomorrow. The realization didn't come with sadness, just a kind of flat recognition, like finally reading the terms and conditions after years of clicking agree. His phone was on the desk, 3 feet away. Might as well have been 3 miles. Nathan concentrated on breathing, in, out, and waited for his body to decide whether it was going to keep working or call it quits. 5 minutes passed, then 10. The irregular thunder in his chest gradually steadied into something resembling a normal rhythm. Nathan pushed himself up to sitting, back against the leather couch, and pressed his palm against his sternum where a dull ache had settled in like an unwelcome tenant. "Daddy?" The small voice from the doorway nearly sent him into cardiac arrest all over again. His daughter stood there in her princess pajamas, the ones with the faded stars because she refused to let him buy her new ones, clutching her stuffed elephant. Emma was 6 years old, all dark curls and serious eyes that looked too much like her mother's. "Hey, sweetheart." Nathan's voice came out rough. He cleared his throat, tried again. "What are you doing up?" "I had a bad dream." Emma walked into the room with the careful steps of a kid who'd learned early that her dad's workspace was usually off limits. "Are you okay? You're on the floor." "I'm fine. Just drop something." The lie tasted worse than usual. "Come here." She crossed to him and he pulled her into his lap, breathing in the apple-scented shampoo the nanny used. Emma settled against his chest, right over his heart, and Nathan wondered if she could feel how unevenly it was still beating. "What was your dream about?" he asked. "Mommy." Emma said it simply, without the weight that word carried for him. "She was calling for me, but I couldn't find her. She was in our old house, I think. The one with the yellow door." Nathan closed his eyes. The one with the yellow door. The house where Caroline had died, where they'd been an actual family instead of whatever this current arrangement was, him throwing money at problems and a rotating cast of nannies trying to fill a gap that couldn't be filled. "It was just a dream, Em." "I know." She was quiet for a moment. "But sometimes I forget what her voice sounded like." "Is that bad?" The question hit harder than the heart attack had. "No," Nathan said, throat tight. "That's not bad. That's what happens." "Do you forget?" "Sometimes." It was the truth. 5 years was a long time. The sharp edges of grief had worn down into something more manageable, a constant low-level ache instead of the stabbing agony that had defined those first months. But yeah, sometimes he couldn't quite remember the exact pitch of Caroline's laugh, or the way she'd hum off-key while cooking, or 1,000 other small details that used to make up the architecture of his daily life. What he did remember, with perfect clarity, was the last conversation they'd had. The stupid fight about whether to hire a gardener or keep doing the yard work themselves. How she'd been right and he'd been stubborn. How she'd kissed him anyway before leaving for her sister's place, rolling her eyes at his insistence on winning arguments he didn't actually care about. How she'd never made it there because some kid texting his girlfriend ran a red light at 45 miles an hour. Emma yawned against his chest. "Can I sleep in your room?" "Yeah, of course you can." Nathan leveraged himself off the floor, ignoring the way his legs shook, and carried his daughter upstairs. She was getting too big for this, growing too fast, and he'd missed most of it. Buried in spreadsheets and conference calls and the relentless machinery of building an empire that was supposed to mean something, but mostly just meant he was too busy to notice his own kid growing up. He tucked Emma into the massive king bed that he slept on one side of, the other half pristine and untouched. She was asleep before he could turn off the lamp. Nathan stood there in the dark, listening to her breathe, and felt the full weight of how close he'd come to leaving her completely alone. His phone buzzed. 3 missed calls from James, his COO. 2 texts from his assistant about tomorrow's board meeting. An email from his lawyer about the custody arrangement for... He stopped, stared at the notification. Custody arrangement. Right. Because in addition to everything else, Nathan had agreed, in a moment of what he now recognized as profound stupidity, to let his well-meaning but deeply annoying friend Marcus set him up on a blind date. "You need to start living again," Marcus had said over drinks 3 weeks ago. "Emma needs to see you be something other than a robot in a suit." "I'm fine." "You're miserable. There's a difference." Marcus had leaned forward, his expression serious. "Caroline wouldn't want this for you, man. You know she wouldn't." That was the problem with dead wives. People felt entitled to speak for them, to project their own ideas about what the deceased would or wouldn't want. The truth was, Nathan had no idea what Caroline would want. They'd never discussed him moving on because they'd been in their 20s and immortal, and death was something that happened to other people. But he'd said yes to the date anyway, partially to shut Marcus up, partially because some small part of him recognized that his friend wasn't entirely wrong. This wasn't living. This was just existing in expensive surroundings. The date was tomorrow. Tonight, technically, since it was past midnight now. Nathan looked down at his daughter, thought about his heart stopping, about dying alone in his office over acquisition documents for a company he didn't give a damn about. He should cancel, call the whole thing off. He'd literally just had a cardiac event. Did people still say cardiac event, or was there some other term? He should probably see a doctor. Get his heart checked out. Be a responsible parent instead of showing up to some restaurant to make awkward conversation with a stranger. His phone was in his hand before he consciously decided to pick it up. But he didn't call Marcus. Didn't cancel. Instead, he stood there in the dark, thumb hovering over the screen, and tried to remember the last time he'd done anything that wasn't calculated to either make money or take care of Emma. Tried to remember what it felt like to want something just for himself. Came up empty. "Screw it," he muttered, and set the phone down. He'd go. Show up, be pleasant for an hour, prove to Marcus that he'd tried. Then he could go back to the comfortable numbness of his regular routine with a clear conscience. Nathan climbed into bed next to Emma, careful not to wake her, and lay there staring at the ceiling he'd also paid someone else to design. Sleep didn't come. His heart kept beating its irregular rhythm, not quite normal, not quite stopped, somewhere in between, kind of like the rest of his life. The restaurant Marcus had chosen was aggressively ordinary. Nathan sat in his car outside the copper mill and tried to figure out what statement his friend was trying to make. This wasn't the kind of place billionaires took dates. No Michelin stars, no dress code, no valet parking, just a neighborhood spot in a part of the city that gentrification had touched but not transformed. String lights in the windows, chalkboard menu. The smell of garlic and bread drifting out every time the door opened. He was 15 minutes early. Habit from years of business meetings, where being on time meant being late. Nathan had debated what to wear. The suit felt too formal. Jeans felt too casual. He'd settled on dark slacks and a button-down, no tie, then spent an irritating amount of time wondering if he looked like he was trying too hard or not trying hard enough. "You look nice, Daddy," Emma had said that morning at breakfast. "It's just dinner, sweetheart. Is it a date?" "It's dinner with someone." "That's a date." She'd said it with the authority of a 6-year-old who'd absorbed cultural norms through osmosis. Maria says you should date. She says you're too young to be alone forever. Maria, the current nanny, the one who'd been with them for 8 months now, a record. She was nice enough, competent, warm with Emma, never tried to push boundaries. Also apparently had opinions about Nathan's personal life that she shared with his daughter. Maria should focus on her job, Nathan had said, more sharply than he meant to. Emma's face had done that thing where it shut down, and Nathan had immediately felt like garbage. Hey! He'd reached across the table, touched her hand. I'm sorry, I'm just nervous. That had made her smile. You get nervous? Sometimes. What if you don't like her? Then I'll be polite for an hour and come home. What if you do like her? That question had stopped him cold, because he genuinely hadn't considered it as a possibility. The whole thing was a performance, a box to check. The idea that he might actually connect with whoever Marcus had set him up with hadn't entered the equation. Then, I don't know, Em. I guess we'll figure it out. She'd nodded like that was a reasonable answer, gone back to her cereal, and Nathan had sat there wondering when his kid had gotten so thoughtful and mature while he wasn't paying attention. Now, sitting in his car outside this aggressively ordinary restaurant, Nathan felt that same question echoing. What if you do like her? Didn't matter. Probably wouldn't happen anyway. He checked his phone. 6:47. Still early, but sitting in the car was making him more anxious. Better to go in? Get a table? Have a drink? Settle his nerves. His heart had been okay all day. No more chest pain, no more arrhythmia. He'd looked up heart attacks online, because of course he had, and what he'd experienced didn't quite fit the usual description. Could have been stress, could have been nothing, could have been a warning. He hadn't called a doctor, should probably do that. Later. Nathan got out of the car and walked into the copper mill. The inside matched the outside. Warm lighting, exposed brick, mismatched furniture that was probably supposed to look artisanal. Half the tables were full, couples, mostly. A few families. The kind of crowd that could afford a nice dinner out but wasn't trying to make a statement about it. Welcome to the copper mill. The hostess was maybe 20, bright smile, tablet in hand. Do you have a reservation? Cole, table for 2 at 7. She checked the screen. Perfect. Your table's ready if you'd like to sit now, or you can wait at the bar for your guest. I'll sit. She led him to a table by the window, decent view of the street, far enough from the kitchen that conversation would be possible. Nathan ordered a bourbon, neat, and tried to remember the last time he'd been on an actual date. College, maybe? Before Caroline, there had been a string of forgettable relationships, the kind of casual dating that happened when you were 21 and had no idea what you actually wanted. Then Caroline had walked into his economics seminar 15 minutes late, all apologies and chaos, and that had been it. No more dating, just her. They'd gotten married at 24. Emma came along 2 years later. Caroline died when Nathan was 27, and for the last 5 years he'd been, what? Existing, working, parenting in the detached way of someone who loved his kid but didn't quite know how to be present for her. The bourbon arrived. Nathan took a sip, felt the burn, tried to relax. 6:55. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through work emails without really reading them. Marcus had texted, "Don't screw this up. She's great. Just be yourself." Helpful. Except Nathan wasn't entirely sure who himself was anymore, outside of conference rooms and custody schedules. Another text from Marcus. "Also, I didn't tell her you're rich, so maybe don't lead with that." Nathan frowned, typed back, "Why would I lead with that?" "Because you're terrible at small talk, and money is literally the only interesting thing about you." "Thanks. I'm being helpful. Talk about normal things. Ask questions. Pretend to be human." Nathan put the phone down before he could send the response forming in his head. 6:58. The door opened. Nathan looked up automatically, habit from years of scanning rooms, assessing situations, reading people. A woman walked in. Not her. This woman was older, already scanning the restaurant for whoever she was meeting. Nathan went back to his phone. The door again. He looked up, and his entire world stopped. Not like his heart stopping last night. That had been physical, mechanical. This was different. This was every system in his body simultaneously recognizing something impossible and trying to process it. The woman standing in the doorway, looking around with an expression that mixed nervousness and determination, was Lily Harper. Lily, Caroline's best friend. The woman who disappeared 5 years ago, right after the funeral, and who Nathan hadn't seen or heard from since. She was thinner than he remembered. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, instead of the elaborate styles she used to favor. Her clothes were nice but not expensive. A simple dress, cardigan, flats that had seen better days. She looked tired. She looked older. She looked like someone who'd had a rough 5 years. But it was definitely her. Lily's eyes swept the restaurant, landed on Nathan, and went wide. The color drained from her face. Nathan stood up without meaning to, his chair scraping against the floor loud enough that people at nearby tables looked over. They stared at each other across the restaurant. The hostess was saying something to Lily, probably asking about her reservation. Lily wasn't responding. She was just standing there, frozen, looking at Nathan like she'd seen a ghost. Which was fair, because he probably looked the same. Marcus, Nathan thought distantly, was a dead man. Lily said something to the hostess, who gestured toward Nathan's table. This was happening. This was actually happening. Marcus had set him up on a blind date with Lily Harper, Caroline's best friend, the woman who'd vanished without explanation, and Nathan was going to kill him. Lily walked toward the table like someone approaching a car accident. Can't look away. Can't quite believe what you're seeing. She stopped 3 feet away. Nathan. Her voice was exactly the same. A little rough around the edges, warm when she wasn't upset. He remembered that voice reading stories to Emma when she was a baby, laughing at Caroline's terrible jokes, going quiet and serious when things got real. Lily, I didn't... She stopped. Started again. Marcus didn't tell me... Yeah, me neither. The hostess appeared, tablet in hand, cheerfully oblivious to the tension. Here's your table. Your server will be right with you. She left. Nathan and Lily stood there. We don't have to do this, Lily said finally. I can leave. This was obviously a mistake. It came out harder than he meant it to. Not angry exactly, but not friendly either. Command voice, CEO voice, the voice that made boardrooms go quiet. Lily's jaw tightened. For a second he thought she'd walk out anyway. She'd done it before, after all. But then she pulled out the chair and sat down, back straight, hands folded in her lap. Nathan sat too. The server appeared. Can I get you started with drinks? Water, Lily said. Just water. The server looked at Nathan. Another bourbon. He was going to need it. The server left. Nathan and Lily sat across from each other, not speaking, while the restaurant buzzed with normal conversation around them. People on dates who actually wanted to be there. People whose pasts weren't sitting 3 feet away wearing a dress that probably came from a thrift store. You look good, Lily said finally. Successful. You disappeared. So much for small talk. Lily flinched. I know. 5 years, not a word, not a text, nothing. I know. Caroline died and you just left. Didn't even say goodbye to Emma. Nathan, she asked about you for months. Where's Lily? When is Lily coming back? And I had no idea what to tell her because her mom was dead and her favorite person after her mom just vanished. Lily's eyes were bright, not quite crying, but close. I couldn't what? Send a text, make a phone call, show up for the people who needed you? I had nothing. The words burst out of her, loud enough that the couple at the next table looked over. Lily lowered her voice. I had nothing, Nathan. No job, no money, no place to live. I was drowning, and I couldn't be there for Emma when I couldn't even be there for myself. So you ran? Yes, I ran. She met his eyes. I'm not proud of it, but yes. I ran because staying would have broken me completely, and I was already barely holding together. The server returned with their drinks, set them down, asked if they were ready to order. Nathan waved him away without looking. He picked up his bourbon, drained half of it. Lily took a sip of water with shaking hands. Why are you here? Nathan asked. Tonight. This restaurant. Did you know it was me? No, Marcus just said... She stopped. He said he knew someone who I might get along with. Someone who'd been through loss and understood. I thought he meant another widower or something. I'm not a widower. I know what you are. The way she said it stung, like she could see straight through the expensive clothes and the controlled exterior to the hollow thing underneath. You know what Marcus is, right? Lily continued. He was always terrible at boundaries, always thought he knew better than everyone else what they needed. That was true. Marcus meant well, but had the subtlety of a brick through a window. He should have told us, Nathan said. Yeah, he should have. Lily turned her water glass around, not drinking, just needing something to do with her hands. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About disappearing. About not being there for Emma. About all of it. That doesn't fix anything. I know. They sat in silence. The thing was, Nathan realized, he wasn't even that angry. He should be. He had every right to be. But mostly he just felt tired and confused, and like the universe was playing some kind of cosmic joke. What have you been doing? He asked. These 5 years. Lily laughed, but there was no humor in it. Surviving, mostly. I worked retail for a while, waitressed, did some temp office work. Currently I'm managing a coffee shop in Riverside. It's not glamorous, but it pays rent. You went to law school. Yeah, didn't finish, couldn't afford it after... She trailed off. After everything. After Caroline died, she meant. After the person who'd been helping pay for her education was gone and Lily had nothing and nobody, and had apparently decided that burning bridges was easier than asking for help. You could have come to me, Nathan said. I would have helped. That's exactly why I couldn't come to you. Lily looked at him, really looked at him, and her expression was complicated. You had just lost your wife. You had a baby to take care of. The last thing you needed was your dead wife's broke friend showing up asking for money. I would have helped anyway. I know. That's what made it impossible. Nathan didn't know what to say to that. The server came back. 3rd time. He looked nervous now, like he could sense this dinner was going badly and wanted to escape. Should I come back later? He asked. Give us a minute, Nathan said. The server fled. We should probably order something, Lily said, or leave. People are staring. They weren't, actually, but Nathan understood the impulse. This whole situation felt like a spectacle, even though they were just 2 people sitting at a table having a conversation. Are you hungry? He asked. Not really. Me neither. But neither of them moved to leave. How's Emma? Lily asked quietly. And there it was, the question that actually mattered. She's good. Smart. Too serious for 6 years old. She looks like Caroline. Lily smiled, and for the first time since she'd walked in, it reached her eyes. I bet she's beautiful. She is. Nathan pulled out his phone, found a recent photo. Emma at her school's art show, standing proudly next to a painting of what was supposedly their house but looked more like a colorful blob. He turned the screen toward Lily, her expression crumpled. Oh, she said softly. Oh, Nathan. She's perfect. Yeah. Lily looked at the photo for a long moment, then handed the phone back. Does she remember me? Sometimes. Less than she used to. That's probably for the best. Is it? Lily didn't answer. The restaurant buzzed around them. Normal people having normal dinners. Nathan felt like he was in a different universe entirely. I should go, Lily said. She started to stand. Wait. She paused. Nathan didn't know what he wanted to say, didn't know why he'd stopped her. This whole thing was a disaster. They should both leave, go back to their separate lives, pretend this hadn't happened. But his heart had stopped last night, and he'd woken up this morning with the strange, unsettling feeling that he was supposed to be paying attention to something, that the universe was trying to tell him something. Maybe this was it. Sit, he said. Please. Lily hesitated, then lowered herself back into the chair. I don't know what this is, Nathan said slowly. I don't know why Marcus thought setting us up was a good idea. But you're here, I'm here, and maybe... He stopped. Maybe we could just eat dinner, talk, figure out what the hell happened to us these last 5 years. That's a terrible idea. Probably. It won't change anything. No. I'm still broke. You're still... She gestured at him, at his expensive watch and his tailored clothes and everything about him that screamed wealth. You. Yeah. Lily studied him. Whatever she was looking for, Nathan didn't know if she found it. "One dinner," she said finally. "Then we go back to our lives." One dinner. It was a lie. They both knew it was a lie. You didn't sit down with ghosts from your past and walk away unchanged. But Nathan nodded anyway, and Lily stayed in her chair, and when the server came back, they actually ordered food. And for the first time in 5 years, Nathan felt something that wasn't numbness or grief or obligation. He felt awake. They ordered without looking at the menu. Lily got the cheapest entree, Nathan noticed, and he got whatever the server recommended. Neither of them cared about the food. "So," Lily said after their third awkward silence in as many minutes, "Billionaire. That's new." "Not really. The company was doing well when Caroline—" He stopped. "When she died. I just kept working. It grew." "It grew," Lily repeated, "like a plant you forgot to water but somehow turned into a tree." Something like that. "What do you do exactly? I mean, I know it's tech, but we build software infrastructure for hospitals, electronic medical records, patient management systems, data analytics, the boring stuff that keeps healthcare running." "That doesn't sound boring." "It is. Trust me." Lily smiled a little. "You always were terrible at talking yourself up. Caroline used to handle that part." The name hung between them. "She'd be proud of you," Lily said quietly. "Building something that helps people. That was always important to her." Nathan looked down at his bourbon. "She'd be pissed that I work 70-hour weeks and barely see Emma." "Yeah, she would." The honesty was startling, but also kind of refreshing. Most people tiptoed around Caroline's memory, treated her like a saint instead of a real person who would have had strong opinions about how Nathan was screwing up their daughter's childhood. "What about you?" Nathan asked. "Coffee shop manager? That what you want to be doing?" Lily laughed. "No, but it's steady work and my boss is decent and I get health insurance. That's more than I had for a while." "You never went back to school?" "Couldn't afford it. Student loans from the first time around are still crushing me." She said it matter-of-factly, like she was commenting on the weather. "Turns out law school debt doesn't care if you didn't finish." Nathan wanted to offer to pay it off. The impulse was immediate and strong. He could solve that problem with a single phone call. Wouldn't even notice the money, but Lily had already said she couldn't take his help 5 years ago. Probably still couldn't. "That sucks," he said instead. "Yeah, it does." Lily took a sip of water. "But I manage. I've got a small apartment in Riverside. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. I work, I pay my bills, I survive. Some days that feels like enough." "And other days?" "Other days I wonder what I'm doing with my life and whether any of it matters." She met his eyes. "But I'm guessing you know something about that." He did. The food arrived. Lily had ordered pasta. Nathan had some kind of fish. They picked at their plates more than ate. "Emma really asked about me?" Lily said after a while. "All the time. For the first year, at least." "What did you tell her? That you had to go away? That you were dealing with your own stuff? That it wasn't her fault?" Nathan moved food around his plate. She stopped asking eventually. "I wanted to reach out so many times. I'd write emails I never sent, draft texts I deleted, but I didn't know what to say. Sorry I abandoned you didn't seem like enough." "It's not." "I know. But it's more than nothing." Lily looked up, surprised. "I'm not saying it fixes anything," Nathan continued, "but yeah, Emma would probably like to hear from you, if you're actually going to stick around this time." "I don't know if that's a good idea." "Probably not. Most of my ideas lately aren't." That got a real smile out of her. Small, but genuine. They ate in silence for a bit. The restaurant had gotten busier, the noise level rising. Nathan found himself relaxing slightly. Or maybe that was just the bourbon. "Can I ask you something?" Lily said. "Sure." "Why did you agree to this? The blind date. Marcus said you'd been turning him down for years." Nathan considered lying. Considered giving some easy answer about being ready to move on or wanting companionship or whatever people said when they were trying to sound normal. Instead, he said, "My heart stopped last night." Lily's fork clattered against her plate. "What?" "I was working in my office, had some kind of episode, cardiac event, whatever. Collapsed. Heart stopped. Then it started again. He said it clinically, like he was describing something that happened to someone else. Emma found me on the floor. Jesus, Nathan, did you go to the hospital? No. Are you insane? You could have died. Probably should have. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. I'm 32. I work too much. I don't exercise. I live on coffee and bourbon and about 4 hours of sleep a night. My body was giving me a warning. Lily was staring at him. Have you at least called a doctor? Not yet. Nathan, I will. I'm not trying to die. He stopped. When I was lying there, thinking maybe this was it, the thing I kept coming back to was how much of my life I'd wasted. How I'd been just going through the motions for 5 years, and I thought, if I get another chance, maybe I should actually do something with it. So you agreed to a blind date. So I agreed to a blind date. Small step, low stakes. Or at least it was supposed to be, before Marcus decided to ambush both of us. Lily shook her head slowly. He really is the worst. The absolute worst. They looked at each other and simultaneously started laughing. It was absurd. The whole situation was absurd. Here they were, two people who'd been through hell, sitting in a mediocre restaurant because their mutual friend thought he knew better. The laughter felt good, like something locked in Nathan's chest was finally loosening. We should probably kill him, Lily said. I'm open to it. Make it look like an accident. I know people. She grinned, and for a second Nathan saw the Lily he remembered. The one who used to show up at their apartment at midnight with wine and stories. The one who made Caroline laugh until she couldn't breathe. The one who'd been family before everything fell apart. The grin faded. I really am sorry for leaving. I know I keep saying it, but I get it. Do you? Nathan thought about it, really thought about it. 5 years ago, he'd been angry, hurt, felt betrayed when Lily had disappeared right when they needed her most. But sitting here now, looking at this woman who'd clearly had her own rough road, he found that anger had burned down to something else. Yeah, he said. I think I do. You were drowning and you swam away. I was drowning and I threw myself into work. Different strategies, same problem. Does that mean you forgive me? I don't know. Maybe. Ask me again when I'm not still processing the fact that you're sitting across from me. Fair. They finished their food. The server cleared their plates and asked about dessert. They both declined. The check came. Nathan grabbed it before Lily could. I can pay my half, she said. I know you can. I'm paying anyway. Nathan, it's one dinner. Let me get it. She looked like she wanted to argue. Then something in her expression shifted and she just nodded. Thank you. He put down his card and they sat there waiting for the server to come back. So what happens now? Lily asked. I don't know. We could pretend this never happened. We could. Go back to our separate lives. Yeah. Neither of them moved. The server returned with Nathan's card. They signed the receipt, gathered their things, walked out of the restaurant into the cool night air. They stood on the sidewalk. Cars passed. People walked by. The city hummed around them. I should go, Lily said. My bus leaves in 20 minutes. You took the bus? I don't have a car. I'll drive you. Nathan, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. I'm offering. He pulled out his keys. Where do you live? Riverside. But that's like 40 minutes from here. So? Lily hesitated. Then, okay, thank you. They walked to his car, a Tesla, because of course it was. Nathan had bought it because it was practical and efficient, not because he cared about showing off. But he saw Lily take it in, saw her expression shift slightly. The drive started quiet. Nathan focused on the road. Lily looked out the window. The city lights blurred past. This is weird, Lily said after 10 minutes. Yeah. I keep expecting to wake up and realize this was some anxiety dream. If it is, we're both having it. She smiled a little. Remember when Caroline used to have those dreams where her teeth would fall out and she'd wake up convinced she was dying? And I'd have to check her mouth to prove all her teeth were still there. You were so patient with her. I loved her. I know you did. Nathan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Do you think about her, still? All the time. She was my best friend. You don't just stop missing someone like that. No, you don't. They fell quiet again. Riverside was exactly 43 minutes away. Lily directed him to a neighborhood that had seen better days. Not dangerous, but tired. Old apartment buildings that hadn't been updated since the 80s. Cars with expired tags parked on the street. Here, Lily said, pointing to a 3-story building with peeling paint. This one. Nathan pulled up to the curb. Lily unbuckled her seatbelt but didn't get out. Thank you for dinner, and the ride, and not completely hating me. I don't hate you. You probably should. Yeah, probably. She reached for the door handle, stopped. Nathan? Yeah? I know this was weird and awkward and probably a mistake, but I'm glad I got to see you, even if it was just this once. Something in Nathan's chest ached. Not like last night. Different, like scar tissue pulling. Lily. She looked at him. Can I have your number? Her eyes widened slightly. Why? I don't know. In case we want to do this again. Have another disaster dinner? Talk or whatever. He felt stupid saying it. You don't have to, yeah, okay. She rattled off her number. Nathan put it in his phone, sent her a text so she'd have his. There, he said. Now we have each other's numbers. Now we do. She got out of the car, stood on the curb looking back at him. Good night, Nathan. Good night, Lily. She walked to her building, disappeared inside. Nathan sat there for a minute, processing. Then he pulled away from the curb and started the drive back to his empty house with his sleeping daughter and his stopped heart that had decided to keep beating anyway. His phone buzzed, a text from Lily. Thank you again for everything. He typed back. Anytime. Then, because apparently he'd lost his mind, same time next week, 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, you're serious? I have no idea what I'm doing, but yeah. Okay, same restaurant unless you want to pick somewhere else. The Copper Mill is fine. It's got good disaster energy. Nathan smiled. 7 p.m.? It's a date. Or whatever this is. See you then. He put his phone down and drove home, feeling something he hadn't felt in 5 years. Like maybe, possibly, life wasn't entirely over. Like maybe there was something worth waking up for beyond obligation and routine. Like maybe his heart had stopped for a reason, to make him pay attention to what started beating again when it did. The week crawled by like it had somewhere better to be but couldn't quite get there. Nathan went through the motions at work, board meetings, investor calls, reviews of quarterly projections that all looked good on paper but felt meaningless. His assistant noticed something was off. James definitely noticed, though he had the good sense not to comment directly. You seem distracted, was all James said on Thursday, after Nathan had missed a question from the CFO about the Singapore expansion. I'm fine. Sure, but maybe schedule that doctor's appointment anyway? So James knew about the heart thing. Of course he did. The man had worked for Nathan for 4 years and had an unsettling ability to know things without being told. I'll handle it. That's what you said Monday, and Tuesday, and Wednesday. Nathan had looked up from his laptop, ready to snap, but James was already walking out of the office with that infuriating smirk that meant he knew he was right. The appointment got scheduled. Friday afternoon squeezed between a lunch meeting and a conference call with Tokyo. The doctor was young, efficient, and deeply unimpressed with Nathan's casual approach to cardiac events. So you felt your heart stop, Dr. Chen said, reviewing the EKG results that showed exactly nothing useful. And you waited 5 days to come in. I've been busy. Busy. She said it like he'd just told her he believed in Santa. Mr. Cole, cardiac arrest at 32 isn't busy. It's a warning sign that your body is failing. The EKG looks normal. Right now, yes, but stress-induced events don't always show up on standard test. She closed his chart. I'm ordering a stress test, echocardiogram, and blood work, and I'm strongly suggesting you reduce your work hours, improve your sleep, and consider therapy. Therapy. For the stress that's literally stopping your heart. Nathan had left with a stack of referral forms he had no intention of using and a prescription for anxiety medication he definitely wasn't going to fill. The stress test was scheduled for next week. He'd show up, pass it, prove his heart was fine, and everyone could stop treating him like he was made of glass. Emma had been watching him all week with those 2 serious eyes. Are you sick? She'd asked Tuesday night. No, sweetheart, why? Maria says you went to the doctor. Of course she did. Maria, the nanny who apparently had opinions about everything and no filter about sharing them with a 6-year-old. Just a checkup. But you never go to checkups. She wasn't wrong. Nathan avoided doctors the way most people avoided tax audits. I'm being more careful now, he'd said, which was close enough to true. Because of your date? That had caught him off guard. What? The lady you had dinner with. Are you being more careful because of her? Nathan had no idea how to answer that. The truth was complicated. Yes, seeing Lily had shaken something loose in him, made him aware of how much he'd been sleepwalking through his own life. But correlation wasn't causation, and he wasn't about to explain to his 6-year-old that sometimes it took your heart stopping and a ghost from the past appearing to make you wake up. I'm being more careful because I want to be around for you, he'd said instead. Emma had considered this. Are you going to see her again? Maybe. Do you like her? I don't know her well enough to know if I like her. That's what dates are for, to figure out if you like someone. She'd said it with the confidence of a child who'd absorbed relationship advice from TV shows. Maria says, what else does Maria say? Emma had gotten that look that meant she knew she'd said too much. Just stuff about how it's okay for you to date, that Mom would want you to be happy. Nathan had pulled her into a hug before the conversation could go anywhere more painful. Mom would want us both to be happy, and we are, right? Right, Emma had said against his shoulder, but she hadn't sounded entirely convinced. Now it was Saturday evening, and Nathan was standing in front of his closet, having the same stupid debate about what to wear. The suit was too much, jeans were too casual. He'd already worn those dark slacks and button-down combo last week. His phone buzzed. Lily. Still on for tonight? He typed back. Yeah. You? Unfortunately, yes, this is a terrible idea. Probably. See you at 7. Nathan stared at his closet for another 30 seconds, then grabbed jeans and a sweater. Screw it. If this was going to be a disaster, might as well be comfortable. Downstairs, Emma was in the living room with Maria, watching something animated and loud. She looked up when Nathan walked in. You look nice, she said. Thanks, Em. Is it the same lady? Maria glanced over, clearly interested despite her attempt to look focused on the TV. Yeah, same lady. What's her name? Nathan hesitated. He hadn't told Emma it was Lily, hadn't wanted to open that whole complicated box, but lying felt wrong. Lily. Emma's face did something complicated. Like, my Lily from before? Yeah, like that Lily. But she left. She did. But she's back now. Or, we're talking. It's complicated. Emma processed this with the seriousness of a Supreme Court justice reviewing a case. Does she remember me? Of course she remembers you. She asked about you. What did you tell her? That you're smart and beautiful and too serious for a 6-year-old. That got a small smile. Can I see her? Maybe. Eventually. We're still figuring things out. Okay. Emma went back to her show, but Nathan could see the wheels turning. This was going to come up again, multiple times, with questions he didn't have answers to. Have fun on your date, Mr. Cole, Maria said, in a tone that was professionally neutral, but definitely amused. Thanks, Maria. And maybe stay out past 9 this time? Live a little? Nathan left before she could offer more unsolicited life advice. The drive to the copper mill felt shorter this time, less nerve-wracking, or maybe just differently nerve-wracking. Last week had been about facing a stranger. This week was about facing someone who knew him, or at least knew who he used to be. He arrived 10 minutes early again. Couldn't break the habit. But this time Lily was already there, sitting at the same table by the window, looking at her phone. She dressed up slightly more than last week. Dark jeans, a green blouse that brought out her eyes, hair down instead of pulled back. She still looked tired, but less like she'd been hit by a truck, more like she'd gotten actual sleep for once. Nathan walked over. Lily looked up, and her expression did something between a smile and a grimace. You came, she said. So did you. I almost didn't. Yeah, me too. They sat. The same server from last week appeared, recognized them, and looked almost worried. Back again? He said carefully. Apparently we enjoy punishment, Lily said. 2 bourbons? The server asked Nathan. Just 1. And water. He was driving and also trying to be slightly less self-destructive. Lily? Wine. Red. Cheapest one you have. The server nodded and fled. Cheapest one? Nathan asked. I'm not letting you buy me expensive wine when I know what it costs. It's just wine. It's never just wine with you people. You people? Billionaires. The professionally wealthy. People who don't look at price tags. Nathan felt himself bristle. I'm not... Not what? Rich? Nathan, you're wearing a watch that costs more than I make in 6 months. He looked down at his wrist. The Omega he'd bought himself after the company's first major acquisition. He'd forgotten he was wearing it. It's just a watch. See? That right there, Lily pointed at him. You have no idea, do you, what it's like to actually worry about money? I grew up middle class. I remember what it was like. You remember, past tense. When's the last time you checked your bank account before buying something? Nathan opened his mouth, closed it. Exactly, Lily said. The server returned with drinks, set them down, disappeared quickly. Lily took a sip of wine, grimaced. Okay, this is actually terrible. Point taken about the cheap wine. Nathan felt the corner of his mouth twitch. Want to switch to something better? No, I'm making a statement. By drinking bad wine? By maintaining my principles in the face of your casual wealth. That's ridiculous. Your face is ridiculous. They stared at each other. Then Lily snorted, and Nathan felt the tension break. Sorry, she said. That was childish. Little bit. I feel weird about this. The money thing. Last week you paid for dinner and drove me home, and it was nice, but also I felt like a charity case. You're not a charity case. I literally let a billionaire buy me the cheapest pasta on the menu. You ordered what you wanted. I ordered what I could justify accepting. Nathan leaned back. So what do you want me to do? Pretend I'm not rich? Show up in a Honda and split the check? Maybe? I don't know. Lily rubbed her temples. This would be easier if you were an asshole. Rich assholes are easy. But you're being nice and it makes me feel guilty for judging you. I can be an asshole if it helps. Please don't. One problem at a time. They sat there for a moment. The restaurant hummed around them, Saturday night crowd, louder than last week. Families, couples, friend groups, normal people doing normal things. Can we start over? Nathan asked. What? This conversation, this dinner, can we just start over? Pretend the first 5 minutes didn't happen? Lily considered. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Nathan picked up his bourbon, set it down, picked it up again. Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm bad at this. Hi, Nathan. I'm Lily. I'm also bad at this. What are you bad at specifically? Accepting help. Not being defensive, trusting that people aren't going to leave. She said it casually, but the words landed heavy. You? Letting people in. Admitting I'm struggling. Believing anything I do matters outside of work. He paused. Also, I apparently have a stress problem that's trying to kill me. Yeah, about that. Did you see a doctor? Yesterday? And I need a stress test and therapy and to work less, the usual. Lily watched him over her wine glass. Are you going to do any of that? The stress test, probably. The rest. Nathan shrugged. You're an idiot. Excuse me? Your heart stopped and you're still working 70-hour weeks? That's idiotic. I have responsibilities. You have a death wish. I have a company to run and a kid to provide for. Your kid doesn't need money. She needs a dad who's alive. Nathan felt his jaw tighten. You don't get to lecture me about parenting. You left. It came out harsher than he meant. Lily flinched like he'd slapped her. You're right, she said quietly. I don't get to lecture you. I'm sorry. They sat in uncomfortable silence. The server appeared. Ready to order? No, they said simultaneously. He left. I'm screwing this up, Nathan said. We both are. Why are we doing this? Lily laughed, sharp and humorless. I have no idea. Apparently we're gluttons for punishment. We could leave. We could. Neither of them moved. I don't want to leave, Nathan admitted. Me neither. Even though this is awful, Lily finished her terrible whine. Want to know something sad? This is still the best conversation I've had in months. That's depressing. Tell me about it. She signaled the server, pointed at her glass. Better wine this time. I'm abandoning my principles. The server looked at Nathan, who nodded. When he was gone, Lily leaned forward. Okay. New rule, no more fighting about money or the past or who gets to judge who. We're just two people having dinner. Can we do that? We can try. The better wine arrived. Lily took a sip, nodded approvingly. Tell me about Emma, she said. Really tell me. Not just that she's smart and serious. What's she like? Nathan felt something in his chest ease. This he could talk about. She's stubborn. Gets that from Caroline. Once she decides something, good luck changing her mind. He smiled despite himself. Last month, she decided she wanted to learn piano. I bought her a keyboard, hired a teacher. She practiced every day for 2 weeks. And then? Then she decided she actually wanted to learn guitar. The keyboard is collecting dust. Lily grinned. That's very Caroline. Yeah, she does that thing too where she tilts her head when she's thinking really hard about something. Exact same way Caroline used to. Does it hurt? Seeing Caroline in her? Nathan considered the question. Sometimes, but mostly it's comforting, I guess. Like Caroline's still here in small ways. She'd be proud of Emma. She'd be proud of what Emma could be if I wasn't screwing up the parenting part. You're not screwing it up. I'm barely there. I work constantly. I have a nanny raising her half the time. I missed her school play last month because I was in a meeting I could have rescheduled. But you're trying. That counts. Does it? Lily reached across the table, touched his hand briefly. Yeah, it does. The contact was brief, barely there, but Nathan felt it like an electric shock. She pulled back. Sorry, it's fine. They looked at each other. Your turn, Nathan said. Tell me about your life. The real version, not the sanitized one. Lily sat back. It's not very interesting. I doubt that. Okay, let's see. I wake up at 5 a.m. to open the coffee shop at 6. I work until 2. Then I go home to my apartment that's barely bigger than your closet. I eat dinner alone, watch TV, go to bed, repeat. That's it? That's it. No friends, no dates, no hobbies. I have coworkers I'm friendly with, and I read sometimes. Does that count as a hobby? Nathan thought about his own life, the work, the parenting, the expensive emptiness. Sounds lonely. It is. Lily said it simply. But it's manageable. I learned how to be alone after everything. It's not great, but it works. That's a terrible way to live, says the man who works 70 hours a week. Fair point. They ordered food, actually looked at the menu this time. Lily got something from the middle price range, not the cheapest, but not the most expensive. Progress. While they waited, Lily asked about the company. Nathan found himself actually explaining it, not just giving the elevator pitch he used for investors. The problems they were trying to solve, the hospitals they worked with, the satisfaction of building something that mattered, even if he'd lost sight of why it mattered somewhere along the way. Lily listened, asked good questions. She'd always been sharp. Nathan had forgotten that. Caroline used to joke that Lily could have run circles around half the lawyers at her firm if she'd finished school. Why didn't you? Nathan asked. Finish law school. Lily's expression shuddered. Money. Like I said. But there are loans, scholarships. You were good enough to get them. I was good enough when Caroline was helping me study, when I had a place to live and people who cared. After she died, Lily shook her head. I fell apart, stopped going to class, failed my exams. By the time I pulled myself together enough to try again, I was too far behind and too broke to catch up. I could have helped. We've been over this. No, I mean, now. You could go back. I could pay for... Nathan. What? I have the money. It's not like I'm using it for anything meaningful. I can't let you do that. Why not? Because... Lily stopped, started again. Because that's not how this works. Whatever this is, I'm not here for your money. I know that. Do you? Because it feels like every problem I mention, your solution is to throw money at it. Nathan felt frustration rising. What's wrong with wanting to help? Nothing, but there's helping and there's trying to fix people like they're broken. I don't need to be fixed. I didn't say you were broken. You implied it. I implied that you got dealt a shitty hand and maybe you deserve a chance to try again. With your money. It's just money. It's never just money. They were getting loud. People were looking. The server appeared, set down their food with the nervous energy of someone who'd wandered into a minefield. Lily took a breath. I appreciate the offer, really, but no. Why? Because I need to do it myself. If I ever go back, and that's a big if, I need to know I did it on my own terms. Not because some rich guy felt sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for you. Then what do you feel? The question hung there. Nathan didn't know how to answer. What did he feel? Guilt, definitely. For not being there 5 years ago when Lily had been drowning. Frustration that she wouldn't accept help. But also something else. Something he didn't have words for. I feel like you deserve better than what you got, he said finally. And I feel like maybe I could have done something about it if I hadn't been so buried in my own grief. Lily's expression softened. Nathan, we were all drowning. You, me, everyone who loved Caroline. You're not responsible for saving me. Maybe not, but I could have tried. You had Emma. You had a company. You had your own survival to worry about. So did you. Yeah. And I handled it by running away, which makes me the last person who should judge how you handled things. They ate in silence for a while. The food was good. Better than last week, or maybe Nathan was just paying more attention. This is hard, Lily said eventually. What is? This. Talking to you. Being around you. It brings up all this stuff I thought I'd dealt with. Like what? Like how much I miss Caroline. How guilty I feel for disappearing. How angry I am that she's gone and we're here trying to figure out how to be people without her. Lily's voice cracked slightly. She was supposed to be the one who held everything together. And then she died, and everything fell apart, and I don't think any of us ever really put ourselves back together, right? Nathan felt the truth of that in his bones. No, we didn't. Do you ever... Lily stopped. Do you ever talk to her, like in your head? Sometimes, less than I used to. What do you think she'd say? About this? Us having dinner? Nathan considered. She'd probably think it was funny. Or maybe she'd be pissed at both of us for taking 5 years to reconnect. Hard to say. She'd definitely be pissed at me. Probably at me too, for working myself into a heart attack. Lily smiled sadly. We're both pretty good at disappointing dead people. That's dark, but accurate. They finished eating, sat with coffee, decaf for Nathan, because apparently he was trying to not die. The restaurant had cleared out some. Quieter now. More intimate. Can I ask you something? Lily said. Sure. Why did you text me about meeting again after last week? You could have just let it go. Nathan traced the rim of his coffee cup. Honestly, I don't know. It felt unfinished. And now? Still feels unfinished. Nathan, I'm not expecting anything, he said quickly. I'm not trying to fix you or save you or whatever you think rich guys do. I liked talking to you. Even when we were arguing, it felt real. As opposed to? As opposed to every other conversation I have. Business stuff, surface-level small talk, people who want something from me. You don't want anything. I want you to stop trying to give me money. Okay, besides that. Lily laughed. Fair. The server brought the check. Nathan paid before Lily could argue. This time she let him without comment. They walked out to the parking lot. The night air was cool, clear, stars visible despite the city lights. Can I drive you home again? Nathan asked. You don't have to. I know. It's out of your way. I know that too. Lily hesitated. Okay, thanks. The drive to Riverside was quieter than last week. Not uncomfortable, just settled. Lily looked out the window. Nathan focused on the road. The silence felt okay. I've been thinking, Lily said as they got close to her apartment. About? About Emma. You said she might want to hear from me. She would. Would it be weird if I sent her something? like a card, nothing big, just acknowledging that I remember her. Nathan felt something warm in his chest. She'd love that. I don't want to confuse her, though. If this is just 2 dinners, and then we go back to ignoring each other's existence. Is that what this is? I don't know, is it? Nathan pulled up to her building, put the car in park, turned to look at her. I'd like to see you again, he said. If you want. Why? Because talking to you is the most alive I've felt in 5 years. Even when we're arguing about money or the past or whatever, you make me feel something other than numb. Lily looked at him for a long moment. That's a lot of pressure. I'm not trying to pressure you. I know, but Nathan, I'm barely holding my own life together. I can't be responsible for making you feel alive. I'm not asking you to be responsible for anything. I'm just asking if you want to have dinner again next week. That's not just anything. That's a pattern. That's us deciding this is something instead of nothing. Would that be so bad? I don't know. Lily's voice was small. Maybe. Probably. We're from completely different worlds now. You're a billionaire with a kid and responsibilities. I make lattes for a living. So this doesn't make sense. Neither did Caroline falling for me when we were in college. I was an economics nerd and she was way out of my league, but it worked anyway. Don't bring her into this. Well, why not? She's the reason we know each other. Exactly. We know each other because of a dead woman we both loved. That's not exactly a solid foundation. Nathan felt frustration building again. You're making excuses. I'm being realistic. You're scared. Of course I'm scared. Lily's voice rose. You show up out of nowhere after 5 years and suddenly you want to be in my life again after I disappeared? After I abandoned Emma? Why would you want that? Why would you want me? The question hung in the air between them. Because you're real, Nathan said quietly. Because you knew Caroline. Because you understand what it's like to lose someone and have to keep going anyway. Because when I'm with you, I don't have to pretend everything's fine when it's not. Lily's eyes were bright. Nathan, I'm not saying I have feelings for you. I don't know you well enough for that. But I want to. I want to know who you are now, not just who you used to be. And maybe you want to know me too. Or maybe you don't, and that's fine. But at least be honest about why you're saying no. I'm saying no because I'm terrified of screwing this up. So am I. You don't screw things up. You're successful at everything. My heart literally stopped because I'm so bad at managing my life. That got a startled laugh out of her. Okay, fair point. They sat there in the car, engine running, looking at each other. One more dinner, Lily said finally. Next week. But Nathan, if this keeps being this hard, if we keep fighting like this, maybe we should just admit it's not working. Okay. I mean it. I can't do drama. My life has enough of that already. Neither can I. Then we agree to actually try this time? To not fight about money or the past or who gets to feel guilty about what? We can try. Lily unbuckled her seatbelt. Same restaurant? Unless you want somewhere different. I'm starting to like the Copper Mill. It has character. It has mediocre wine and a server who's afraid of us. See? Character. She got out of the car, leaned back in through the open door. Thank you for dinner. Anytime. And Nathan, maybe actually do that stress test. I'd prefer you didn't die before I figure out if I like you. I'll take that under advisement. She smiled, closed the door, walked to her building. Nathan waited until she was inside, then drove home. His phone buzzed as he pulled into his driveway. Lily. I'll send Emma a card this week. He typed back. She'll love it. Thank you. Don't thank me. I'm still figuring out if I'm doing this for the right reasons. What would be the wrong reasons? Guilt. Nostalgia. Loneliness. Pick one. And the right reasons? I don't know yet. Still working on it. Nathan smiled. Same time next week, 7 p.m. But I'm picking the wine this time. Deal. He went inside. Emma was asleep. Maria was watching something on Netflix in the guest room. Nathan checked on his daughter, stood there watching her breathe for longer than was probably normal. I'm trying, he whispered to the sleeping child who looked too much like her mother. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying. Emma didn't answer, just kept sleeping, peaceful, and unaware that her father was slowly, awkwardly, attempting to become a person again instead of just a collection of responsibilities and regrets. Nathan went to his own room, sat on the edge of the bed, thought about Lily in her small apartment in Riverside, about Caroline, gone 5 years but still present in everything, about his own stopped heart, and whether starting it again meant he was supposed to actually do something different with the life he'd gotten back. His phone buzzed again. This time it was Marcus. "So how'd dinner number 2 go?" Nathan typed, "You're still a dead man, but did it go well? We didn't kill each other. That's progress. I'm a genius. You're an idiot who got lucky. Same thing. Dinner number 3 next week?" "Maybe." "That's a yes." "You're welcome." Nathan put the phone down before he could tell Marcus exactly where he could shove his matchmaking skills. But his friend wasn't entirely wrong. This whole thing was messy and complicated and probably a terrible idea, but it was something, an actual thing happening in his life that wasn't work or obligation or going through motions. Nathan lay back on his bed, stared at the ceiling he'd paid someone else to design, and wondered if maybe, possibly, this was what the universe had been trying to tell him when his heart stopped. Not that life was ending, but that it might be trying to start again. And maybe, for the first time in 5 years, he was ready to let it. The card arrived on Wednesday. Emma found it in the mail when Maria brought in the stack of bills and business correspondence that Nathan usually ignored until his assistant forwarded the important ones. She was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework when she spotted the envelope with her name on it, handwritten in unfamiliar curly letters. "Daddy, I got mail!" Nathan looked up from his laptop. He'd been working from home more this week, trying to prove to himself and everyone else that he could pull back without the company imploding. So far, it was working about as well as expected, which is to say he was still checking his phone every 5 minutes and had already rescheduled 2 meetings he could have handled remotely. "What is it?" Emma tore open the envelope with the enthusiasm of a kid who never got personal mail. Inside was a card with a watercolor elephant on the front. She opened it, read silently, and her face did something Nathan couldn't quite interpret. "It's from Lily," she said quietly. Nathan's chest tightened. He'd known the card was coming. Lily had texted him Monday asking for the address, but seeing Emma hold it made everything suddenly real in a way the dinners hadn't been. "What does it say?" Emma read aloud, stumbling slightly over some words. "Dear Emma, I know it's been a long time since we saw each other. I think about you often and wonder what kind of person you're growing up to be. I bet you're smart and brave and kind, just like your mom. I hope someday we can be friends again. Love, Lily." She looked up. "There's a P.S. It says, 'I remember you loved elephants. I hope you still do.'" She was holding the card like it might disappear if she wasn't careful. "Do you remember her?" Nathan asked. "Kind of. I remember someone who smelled nice and read me stories, and she had long dark hair." Emma traced the elephant on the card. "Is she your girlfriend?" "No, we're friends. We're getting to know each other again." "But you have dinners with her." "Yes." "That's dating." "It's complicated." Emma gave him a look that said she didn't buy it. 6 years old and already fluent in adult nonsense. "Can I write her back?" she asked. Nathan felt something catch in his throat. "If you want to." "I want to." She got up from the table, card clutched in her hand, and ran upstairs. Nathan heard her bedroom door close. He sat there staring at his laptop screen without seeing it. His phone buzzed. "Lily, did the card arrive?" "Yeah, Emma's writing you back right now." "Oh, that was fast." She was excited. There was a pause, then, "I'm terrified I said the wrong thing." "You didn't. She loved it." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Another pause. "Okay. Good. I haven't been around kids in years. I had no idea what to write." "You did fine. Thank you for remembering the elephant thing. I remember a lot of things." Nathan stared at that message for a long moment before responding. "Me too." That night, Emma came down to dinner with a piece of paper folded into an envelope she'd made herself. She'd drawn flowers all over it in crayon. "Can we mail this to Lily?" she asked. "Sure, what did you write?" "It's private." "Okay." But Emma was bursting to share. "I told her I do still like elephants, and that I'm in first grade, and that Daddy says we might be friends again, and I think that would be nice. That sounds perfect. I also told her about my piano keyboard that I don't use anymore because I decided I want to learn guitar instead. Nathan smiled despite himself. I bet she'll like hearing about that. Do you think she'll write back? Probably. Good. Emma carefully set the envelope on the counter. Daddy? Yeah? Are you happy that Lily's back? The question caught him off guard. Emma was watching him with those serious eyes that saw too much. I don't know yet, Nathan said honestly. It's complicated, but I'm glad I'm talking to her again. Because you were sad after Mommy died. It wasn't a question. Yeah, I was really sad. Are you still sad? Sometimes, but less than I used to be. Emma nodded like this made sense. Maria says everyone's sad sometimes, but that's okay, because that's how feelings work. Maria's right. She says you need to have more feelings that aren't about work. Nathan made a mental note to have a conversation with Maria about boundaries. Oh, really? She says you're emotionally constipated. She said, what? Emma giggled. She didn't think I knew what that meant, but I asked Tommy at school, and he said it means you keep all your feelings inside like poop. Nathan rubbed his face. Okay, we're going to have a talk about appropriate things to say to 6-year-olds. But it's true though, right? You do keep your feelings inside. Emma, it's okay, Daddy. Lily probably helps with that, like emotional prune juice. We're done with this metaphor. But Emma was laughing, and Nathan found himself laughing too, even though he was definitely going to have words with Maria about her vocabulary choices around his daughter. They mailed Emma's letter the next morning on the way to school. Nathan watched her carefully place it in the mailbox like it was something precious. Think she'll get it soon? Emma asked. Probably by tomorrow. Good. Nathan dropped her at school, fielded the usual questions from the teacher about whether he'd be at the parent-teacher conference next week. Yes, he'd actually cleared his schedule this time, and drove to the office feeling lighter than he had in weeks. The feeling lasted until he walked into the building and James intercepted him with a tablet full of problems. Singapore deal is stalling. The CFO wants to push the timeline back 6 months. No, we agreed on Q2. They're getting cold feet about the integration costs. Set up a call. I'll handle it. Also, the board wants to meet about the expansion budget. When? Friday, 10 a.m. Fine. James followed him to his office. And you have your stress test at 2. Nathan had forgotten, or tried to forget. Reschedule it. No. James, you said you'd go. Your exact words were, fine, schedule it, I'll show up. So you're showing up. I have calls. I'll move them. There's a presentation. I'll handle it. Nathan glared at him. James stared back with the kind of calm that came from 4 years of managing Nathan's attempts at self-destruction. You're annoying, Nathan said. I'm effective. There's a difference. James set the tablet down. 2 p.m., Dr. Chen's office. Don't make me drag you there. He left before Nathan could argue. The stress test was exactly as unpleasant as Nathan expected. Electrodes stuck to his chest, treadmill ramping up to speeds that made his lungs burn, doctor watching monitors and making notes while Nathan tried not to die. You're in terrible shape for 32, Dr. Chen said afterward, reviewing results. Thanks. Very helpful. I'm serious. Your cardiovascular fitness is that of someone 20 years older. You're stressed, you don't exercise, and your diet is apparently coffee and bourbon. I eat other things. When? Nathan didn't have a good answer. Dr. Chen pulled up images on her computer. Your heart structure looks fine, no damage from the episode last week, but your stress response is through the roof. You need to make changes or this will happen again. What kind of changes? Exercise, real food, sleep, therapy. All the things I told you last week that you ignored. I've been working from home more. That's a start. Keep going. She printed out some papers, handed them to him. Cardiac rehab program, stress management classes, nutritionist. I want you doing all 3. Nathan looked at the referrals. This is a lot. Your heart stopping is also a lot. Pick your hard. He left with a folder full of information he'd probably ignore and a prescription for beta blockers he definitely wasn't going to fill, but he did schedule the first cardiac rehab session. Small steps. His phone buzzed on the drive back to the office. Lily. Emma's letter arrived. I'm crying in my coffee shop. Good crying or bad crying? Good. Mostly. She's so grown up. And her handwriting is adorable. She worked really hard on it, I can tell. She drew me a picture of an elephant. She draws a lot of elephants. It's perfect. Can I write her back? She'd love that. There was a pause, then, thank you for letting me do this. I know it's complicated. It's worth it. She's happy. So am I. Nathan stared at that message longer than he should while sitting at a red light. The car behind him honked when the light turned green. Saturday came faster than expected. Nathan spent the week actually leaving work at reasonable hours, having dinner with Emma, reading her bedtime stories instead of letting Maria handle it. It felt strange, unfamiliar, but also kind of good. Emma asked about Lily every night. Are you seeing her again? Tonight. Can I meet her? Not yet. We're still figuring things out. When? I don't know, sweetheart. Soon, maybe. You always say soon, but you mean later. She wasn't wrong. Nathan had picked up Caroline's habit of kicking difficult conversations down the road. How about this? He said. If tonight goes well, we'll talk about you meeting Lily, okay? Promise? Promise. Emma made him pinky swear, which apparently was still legally binding in first grade. Now Nathan was sitting in the copper mill 15 minutes early again, watching the door and trying not to think about how this had become a pattern. 3 weeks, 3 dinners. That meant something. He just wasn't sure what yet. Lily walked in at exactly 7. She dressed up more this time. A blue dress that actually fit well, her hair styled instead of just pulled back. She looked nervous. Nathan stood as she approached. They did that awkward thing where neither of them knew if they should hug or shake hands or just sit down. They settled on a small wave and mutual uncomfortable smiling. Hi, Lily said. I'd see. They sat. The server appeared immediately. He'd clearly been waiting for them. The usual? He asked with something approaching actual friendliness. They'd apparently graduated from table that fights to regulars. Please, Nathan said. Lily nodded. The server left. They sat there. Emma loved your card, Nathan said. I got her letter. It was... Lily's voice cracked slightly. It was really sweet. I wrote her back today. She'll be excited. I drew her an elephant, too. Mine's not as good as hers? I'm sure it's fine. It looks like a deformed dog. Nathan laughed. She won't care. Their drinks arrived. Lily had apparently given up on maintaining principles because she ordered the second most expensive wine on the menu. Nathan noticed but didn't comment. So, Lily said, week 3. We're practically in a relationship. Is that what this is? I have no idea. What do you think it is? Nathan considered. 2 people having dinner and trying not to screw it up. Romantic. I'm not trying to be romantic. Good. Because you're terrible at it. Caroline used to say that too. Lily smiled. She wasn't wrong. Remember when you tried to surprise her for your anniversary and accidentally booked the restaurant for the wrong night? In my defense, I was working on a major deadline. You were always working on a major deadline. Fair point. They fell into easier conversation than the previous weeks. Talking about Caroline felt less like stepping on landmines now, more like sharing memories of someone they both loved instead of competing over who had the right to grieve. She would have loved seeing Emma grow up, Lily said. Would have been one of those moms at every school event with a camera. Taking 1,000 pictures and posting none of them because she could never decide which ones were best. Oh my God, yes. Her phone was full of almost identical shots. I still have some of them. Couldn't bring myself to delete her photos. Lily's expression softened. That's really sweet. Or pathetic. Hard to say. It's sweet. They ordered food. Nathan was starting to recognize the menu, which said something about how often they'd been here. Can I ask you something? Lily said while they waited. Sure. Why haven't you dated? In 5 years. It can't just be because you're busy. Nathan turned his glass in circles. Honestly, I didn't think I was allowed to. Allowed? Caroline died and I became that guy. Young widower with a baby. Everyone had opinions about when it would be appropriate to move on. Too soon and I didn't really love her. Too late and I wasn't thinking about Emma's needs, so I just Didn't. That's a terrible reason. Yeah, but it was easier than dealing with people's judgments. What people? Everyone. Caroline's parents, our friends, random strangers who felt entitled to comment on my life because I was some kind of tragic figure. Nathan felt old frustration rising. You know how many women approached me at the funeral, at my wife's actual funeral, offering to help with the baby or be there if I needed someone to talk to? Lily's eyes widened. That's disgusting. It was practical. Some of them meant well. Others were just opportunistic. Either way, it made me feel like Caroline was barely cold and people were already trying to replace her. So you shut down. So I shut down. Lily was quiet for a moment. I get that. After I left, people kept asking if I was okay, if I needed anything, and all I could think was that if I accepted help, I'd have to explain why I needed it. And explaining meant admitting I'd failed, that I couldn't handle losing my best friend without completely falling apart. You didn't fail, didn't I? I dropped out of school, lost my apartment, ended up couch surfing for 6 months while I worked retail jobs that barely paid enough to eat. That's not failure. That's survival. It didn't feel like survival. It felt like drowning in slow motion. Nathan reached across the table without thinking, covered her hand with his. You made it through. That counts. Lily looked at their hands, didn't pull away. So did you. Barely. Still counts. They sat like that for a moment. The contact felt significant, more intimate than anything they'd done in 3 weeks of dinners. Lily pulled back gently. Sorry, that was... Don't apologize. I just don't want to make this weird. Little late for that. She laughed. True. Their food arrived. They ate and talked about easier things. Lily's terrible boss who kept scheduling her for opening shifts after closing shifts. Nathan's daughter deciding she wanted to be a marine biologist this week instead of an astronaut. Normal things. Comfortable things. I did the stress test, Nathan said at some point. And I'm apparently in terrible shape for 32. Shocking. The doctor wants me to do cardiac rehab and therapy and eat vegetables. Are you going to? The rehab, yeah, I actually scheduled it. Progress. The therapy, I don't know, seems like a lot. Lily set down her fork. Nathan, your heart stopped. You work yourself into the ground. You barely sleep. You're raising a kid alone while running a billion-dollar company. You need therapy. I'm fine. You're not fine. Neither am I. That's okay. But pretending we're fine doesn't make it true. Are you in therapy? I was. Had to stop when my insurance changed and I couldn't afford it anymore. But yeah, I was seeing someone for a year after everything. Did it help? Sometimes. When I actually showed up and didn't spend the whole hour lying about being okay. Lily smiled ruefully. Turns out therapy only works if you're honest. Sounds terrible. It is, but it's also kind of necessary if you want to be a functional human. Nathan considered this. He'd avoided therapy for 5 years using every excuse available. Too busy. Don't need it. Can handle it myself. But sitting here with Lily, who'd clearly done her own work and was still struggling, but at least struggling honestly, made him wonder if maybe he'd been wrong. I'll think about it, he said. That's more than you were willing to say last week. Yeah, I'm evolving. It's very slow. I'll take slow over never. They finished dinner. The server cleared their plates and brought coffee. Nathan noticed they'd been there for almost 2 hours. It felt like 20 minutes. Can I ask you something now? Nathan said. Fair's fair. Why did you agree to this? The first dinner, I get it. Marcus ambushed both of us. But you came back twice. Why? Lily traced the rim of her coffee cup. Honestly, I was lonely, am lonely, and seeing you that first night, as awful as it was, reminded me that I used to have people, used to be part of something bigger than just surviving day to day. That's depressing. It's true, though. I've spent 5 years keeping everyone at a distance because it was easier than risking getting hurt again. But easier isn't better. It's just emptier. So this is about not being lonely? Partially, but also... She looked up, met his eyes. Also, I missed you. Not romantic missed. I don't even know you well enough for that. But I missed having someone who understood. Who knew Caroline? Who gets what it's like to have this giant hole in your life that everyone expects you to just get over? Nathan felt that in his chest. Yeah, I get that. And maybe that's selfish, using you to feel less alone. But you're using me too, right? To feel something other than numb? Probably. So we're using each other. How healthy? Very. They both smiled at the absurdity. The server brought the check. Nathan paid. They walked out to the parking lot under a sky that was threatening rain. Want a ride? Nathan asked. If you're offering. They got in the car. Nathan started the engine but didn't pull out of the parking lot yet. Can I tell you something? He said. Sure. I'm scared I'm going to screw this up. Whatever this is, I'm going to work too much or say the wrong thing or push too hard and you're going to disappear again. Lily was quiet for a moment. I'm scared of the same thing. That I'll get overwhelmed or feel like I'm not good enough for your life or panic and run like I always do. So we're both scared, terrified. Great foundation for a friendship. The best. Nathan pulled out of the parking lot, started the familiar drive to Riverside. They were quiet for a while, but it felt comfortable, like they'd said the hard things and now could just exist. Halfway there, Lily spoke. Emma asked if she could meet me, didn't she? Nathan glanced over. How did you know? Because I asked the same thing in her letter, and you've been weird about it all night. I haven't been weird. You've been extra careful, like you're worried I'll bolt if you bring it up. She wasn't wrong. Yeah, Nathan admitted. She wants to meet you. I told her we'd talk about it if tonight went well. Did it go well? I think so. Did it? Yeah, it did. Lily was quiet for a beat. I want to meet her. But Nathan, what if she's disappointed? What if I'm not what she remembers? She barely remembers you. That's not the point. Then what is? The point is she deserves to have people in her life who care about her. And you do. Care about her. I don't know her. You knew her when she was a baby. You can know her now. Lily looked out the window. What if I screw it up? Then you screw it up. We all do. I screw up with her constantly. Nathan turned onto her street. But showing up is better than not showing up, even if it's messy. Is that your parenting philosophy? It's my life philosophy at this point. He pulled up to her building. Lily unbuckled but didn't get out immediately. Okay, she said. Okay, what? Okay, I'll meet Emma. If you think it's a good idea. I think it's a terrifying idea, but yeah, I think we should do it anyway. When? Next weekend? We could do something casual. Park, maybe. Low pressure. A park with a 6-year-old and her dead mom's best friend who abandoned her. Super low pressure. When you put it that way, Lily laughed, but it sounded strained. I'm going to panic about this all week. Me too. What if she hates me? She won't hate you. You don't know that. She wrote you a letter with a drawing of an elephant. She's predisposed to like you. Lily took a shaky breath. Okay. Next Saturday, park. I'll be there. You sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. She got out of the car, then leaned back in. Nathan? Yeah? Thank you for this, for letting me back into your life even though I don't deserve it. You deserve it. I really don't. But I'm grateful anyway. She closed the door and walked to her building. Nathan waited until she was inside, then sat there for a moment before driving away. His phone buzzed almost immediately. Lily. I'm already panicking. Me too. What if this is a huge mistake? Then it's a huge mistake we're making together. Not comforting. I'm bad at comfort, remember? Not romantic. Right. Emotional constipation. Nathan laughed out loud. Emma told you about that? She mentioned it in her letter. Also that you're seeing someone named Lily, and she thinks that's good because you need more feelings. I'm going to have a long talk with my daughter about oversharing. Please don't. Her letters are the highlight of my week. Nathan felt something warm in his chest. Mine too. The ones you send her, I mean. I know what you meant. He drove home feeling lighter than he had in weeks, maybe years. It was terrifying and uncertain and probably going to blow up in his face. But for the first time since Caroline died, Nathan felt like he was actually moving forward instead of just surviving. Emma was still awake when he got home, sitting up in bed with a book. You're supposed to be asleep, Nathan said from her doorway. I was waiting for you. How was your date? It was good. Are you happy? Yeah, Em. I think I am. Good. She yawned. Did you ask Lily about meeting me? I did. Emma sat up straighter, suddenly wide awake. What did she say? She said yes, next Saturday. We're going to the park. Really? Really? Emma's face lit up in a way Nathan hadn't seen in a long time. Can I bring my elephant, the stuffed one? If you want. I do, because she sent me the card with the elephant, and that means elephants are our thing. Sounds perfect. He tucked her in, kissed her forehead, turned off the light. At the door, Emma called out, Daddy? Yeah? I'm glad Lily came back. Nathan felt his throat tighten. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. He went to his own room, lay in bed staring at the ceiling, and thought about all the ways next Saturday could go wrong. Emma could be disappointed. Lily could panic and not show up. The whole thing could be awkward and terrible and traumatize everyone involved. But it could also be okay. Maybe even good. His phone buzzed one more time. Lily, still panicking, but also kind of excited. Is that weird? Not weird. I'm feeling the same way. Okay, good. I'm going to try to sleep now and not spiral. Good luck with that. You too. Nathan put his phone down and closed his eyes. For the first time in 5 years, he fell asleep thinking about the future instead of the past. And even though he was terrified, even though this whole thing could fall apart, he couldn't quite bring himself to regret it. His heart had stopped 2 weeks ago. Now it was beating for a reason. That had to mean something. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of anxious energy that made Nathan check his phone every 30 seconds while Emma changed her outfit for the 4th time. The blue one or the yellow one? She called from upstairs. Either one is fine, sweetheart. But which one is better? Nathan looked at Maria, who was trying not to laugh. A little help here? You're on your own, Mr. Cole. This is important girl business. Emma appeared at the top of the stairs in the yellow dress. This one makes me look more grown up. You look beautiful. That's not what I asked. She disappeared back into her room. Nathan's phone buzzed. Lily, I'm having a crisis. What do you bring to meet a 6-year-old? Flowers seem weird. Candy feels like I'm bribing her. A toy is too much pressure. He typed back, just bring yourself. She's more nervous than you are. Impossible. I've changed clothes 6 times. Emma's on number 4. You're winning. This isn't a competition. Everything's a competition if you're anxious enough. A pause, then, fair point. Still panicking, though. Me too. See you at the park in an hour. Emma came downstairs in the blue dress, carrying her stuffed elephant and a small bag with things she'd deemed essential for the outing. Nathan didn't ask what was in it. He'd learned that some mysteries were better left unsolved. Ready? He asked. Are you? No, but we're going anyway. Emma took his hand. It's okay to be nervous, Daddy. Maria says nervous just means you care about something. Maria says a lot of things. She's usually right, though. They drove to Riverside Park, which Nathan had chosen specifically because it was closer to Lily's apartment. Neutral territory, but on her side of the city. It felt important somehow. The park was busy for a Saturday morning, families everywhere, kids on playground equipment, dogs chasing tennis balls, normal people doing normal weekend things. Nathan found a parking spot and sat there for a moment, hands on the wheel. What if she doesn't come? Emma asked quietly. She'll come. But what if she doesn't? Nathan turned to look at his daughter. Then we'll have a nice day at the park, just the 2 of us, okay? Emma nodded, but she looked worried. She clutched her elephant tighter. They got out of the car and walked toward the playground. Nathan kept scanning the area, looking for Lily, trying not to seem too obvious about it. His phone buzzed. Lily, I'm here. By the big oak tree near the swings, wearing a green jacket and actively dying of anxiety. Nathan looked over and spotted her. She was standing exactly where she said, hands in her pockets, looking like she might bolt at any second. There she is, he told Emma. Emma grabbed his hand tighter. I'm scared. Me too. What if she doesn't like me? She already likes you. She's been writing you letters. But what if she only likes letter me? What if real me is disappointing? Nathan knelt down to Emma's level. You are not disappointing. You are smart and funny and kind. And if Lily can't see that, then that's her problem, not yours, okay? Emma nodded, but she didn't look convinced. They walked over. Lily saw them coming, and her expression cycled through about 17 different emotions in 3 seconds. She looked terrified. "Hi," Nathan said when they reached her. "Hi." Lily's voice was tight. She looked down at Emma. "Hi, Emma." Emma pressed against Nathan's leg, suddenly shy. She mumbled something that might have been hello. This was already awkward. "Should we walk?" Nathan suggested. "Maybe get ice cream or something?" "Ice cream sounds good," Lily said, clearly grateful for a plan. They started walking along the path that wound through the park. Emma stayed glued to Nathan's side, not saying anything. Lily walked on his other side, also quiet. This was going great. "So," Nathan tried. "Emma, do you want to tell Lily about your elephant?" Emma held up the stuffed animal slightly. "His name is Peanut." "That's a great name," Lily said. "I got him when I was 3. He looks very well loved." Emma nodded. Silence. Nathan was starting to sweat despite the cool morning air. This was worse than board meetings. At least in board meetings, people were obligated to talk. "I brought you something," Lily said suddenly. She pulled a small package from her jacket pocket, wrapped in tissue paper. "It's not much. I just saw it and thought of you." Emma looked at Nathan. He nodded. She carefully took the package and unwrapped it. Inside was a small clay elephant, hand-painted in bright colors. It fit perfectly in Emma's palm. "I made it," Lily said. "Well, I painted it at one of those ceramic places. It's probably not very good. I'm not artistic, but you said you liked elephants, so—" Emma stared at the little elephant. Then she looked up at Lily with those serious eyes. "It's perfect," she said quietly. Lily's expression crumpled slightly. "Yeah?" "Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome." Something in the atmosphere shifted. Not dramatically, but enough. Emma still held Nathan's hand, but she wasn't pressing against him quite so hard anymore. They reached the ice cream truck parked near the playground. Nathan bought them all cones. Chocolate for Emma, vanilla for himself, strawberry for Lily. They sat at a picnic table and ate in slightly less awkward silence. "Your dad tells me you want to learn guitar," Lily said after a minute. Emma perked up. "Yeah, I decided piano was too hard." "Guitar's pretty hard too." "I know, but it looks cooler." Lily smiled. "That's fair. I tried to learn guitar once, gave up after 2 weeks because my fingers hurt too much." "Really?" "Really. I was terrible at it." Emma seemed to consider this. "Daddy says you were in law school." "I was. I didn't finish, though." "Why not?" Nathan tensed, but Lily handled it smoothly. Life got complicated. Sometimes that happens. "Oh." Emma licked her ice cream. "Are you sad about it?" "Sometimes, but I'm okay now." "Good." They finished their ice cream. Emma asked if she could go play on the swings. Nathan said yes, and they walked over to the playground area. Emma ran ahead, already spotting other kids to play with. Nathan and Lily sat on a bench watching her. "That wasn't as terrible as I thought it would be," Lily said. "The bar was pretty low. Still, she doesn't hate me." "Told you she wouldn't." Lily watched Emma climb onto the swing set. "She looks so much like Caroline, the way she tilts her head when she's thinking. The serious expression." "Yeah." "Does it hurt seeing Caroline in her?" Nathan thought about it. "Used to. Now it's more bittersweet, like Caroline's still here in pieces." "That's a nice way to look at it." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Emma was swinging high, laughing with a girl around her age. She looked happy, carefree in the way kids could be when they weren't worried about their dad's heart, or dead moms, or complicated adult emotions. "Can I ask you something?" Lily said. "Sure." What happens after this? We've been doing these dinners, and now this, and I keep waiting for you to tell me what you want from me." Nathan turned to look at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean, are we friends? Are we dating? Are we two people who shared trauma and are using each other as emotional support animals? I don't know what this is, and it's making me crazy." "I don't know either." "That's not helpful." "I know." Nathan ran his hand through his hair. "Honestly, I'm just doing what feels right and trying not to overthink it. I'm incapable of not overthinking things." "I've noticed." Lily smiled despite herself. So what feels right? This, sitting here, watching Emma play, talking to you? It feels more right than anything has in 5 years. That's not really an answer. It's the only one I have. Lily was quiet for a moment. I like you, I think. I'm not sure if it's romantic-like or just friend-like or trauma bonding-like, but I like spending time with you, and I like that you let me be a mess without trying to fix me. I like you too, and I have no idea what kind of like it is either. We're terrible at this. The worst. Emma ran over, breathless and excited. Daddy, can I show Lily my trick? What trick? The one where I jump off the swing. Absolutely not. But Daddy, you'll break your leg. Then I'll have to explain to Maria how I let you break your leg, and she'll give me that look that makes me feel like I'm 6. Emma giggled. She does have that look. She really does, Lily agreed. Fine, no jumping. Emma grabbed Lily's hand without warning. Come push me on the swings? Lily looked startled. Then she smiled. Okay. Nathan watched them walk back to the swing set together. Emma chattering about something, Lily listening and nodding. It looked natural, easy, like maybe this wasn't going to be the disaster he'd been bracing for. His phone buzzed. Marcus? How's the big meeting going? Better than expected. She brought Emma a ceramic elephant. That's adorable. I'm a matchmaking genius. You're an idiot who got lucky. I'll take it. Dinner at my place next Friday? You can bring both of them. Absolutely not. I'm not ready for group settings. You're never ready for anything. That's why I decide for you. Nathan put his phone away before Marcus could volunteer him for anything else. Lily pushed Emma on the swings for a solid 15 minutes. When they came back, Emma was flushed and happy. Lily's really good at pushing, she announced. I had practice, Lily said. I used to push you when you were little. Emma's eyes went wide. Really? Really? You used to squeal every time you went high. I still do that. I noticed. They stayed at the park for another hour. Emma showed Lily the monkey bars, the slide, the weird climbing thing that looked vaguely dangerous. Lily gamely tried everything, even though she was clearly not dressed for playground equipment. Eventually, Emma started to tire. The sugar crash from ice cream was setting in. Should we head out? Nathan suggested. Emma nodded, then looked at Lily. Can you come over? To our house? Nathan's brain short-circuited. That was not part of the plan. Oh, Lily said, equally caught off guard. I don't want to impose. You wouldn't be imposing, Emma said seriously. We have a really big house and Daddy's there all alone most of the time except for me and Maria. You could see my room and my elephant collection. Lily looked at Nathan, clearly asking for help. You don't have to, Nathan said quickly. Emma, Lily might have other plans. I don't actually, Lily admitted. Have other plans, but if it's too much, please? Emma pulled out the big eyes. The ones that Nathan had never successfully resisted. He looked at Lily. She looked uncertain but not entirely opposed. If you want to, he said. No pressure. Lily took a breath. Okay, yeah, I'd like that. Emma cheered. The drive back to Nathan's house was surreal. Emma talked the entire time from the back seat, pointing out landmarks and telling Lily stories about school and her friends and everything else that popped into her 6-year-old brain. Lily listened and responded and seemed genuinely interested. Nathan focused on driving and tried not to panic about Lily seeing his house. It was one thing to meet at neutral restaurants, another to invite her into his actual life. They pulled up to the house. Lily went very quiet. This is where you live? She asked. Yeah. Nathan, this is a mansion. It's just a house. It has a gate and a circular driveway. And is that a fountain? Technically, it's a water feature. That's a fountain. Emma unbuckled herself. Come on, I'll show you my room. She dragged Lily out of the car before Nathan could warn her about the overwhelming wealth on display. He followed them inside, seeing his house through Lily's eyes. The marble foyer, the ridiculous chandelier, the art that cost more than most people made in a year. It was too much. He knew it was too much. But it was also just where he lived. Maria appeared from the kitchen. Oh, hello. Maria, this is Lily, Nathan said. Lily, this is Maria, our nanny. The one who told Emma I'm emotionally constipated, he added under his breath. Lily tried not to laugh. Maria extended her hand with a warm smile. Lovely to meet you properly. Emma's been talking about you all week. All good things, I hope. Mostly confusion about whether you're Daddy's girlfriend, Maria said cheerfully. Maria, Nathan started. What? She has. It's natural curiosity. Lily looked amused. I like her. Everyone does. She's shameless. Maria beamed. I'll make some coffee. You two look like you need it. She disappeared back into the kitchen. Emma grabbed Lily's hand again. My room is upstairs. Come on. Nathan followed them up. Emma's room was an explosion of color and personality. Artwork on the walls, books everywhere, the abandoned keyboard in one corner, and a small guitar that Nathan had bought her last week in the other. This is Peanut's family, Emma said, showing Lily an entire shelf of elephant figurines and stuffed animals. This one's from Mommy. She got it before I was born. Lily picked up the elephant carefully. It was worn, well-loved, obviously old. Your mom bought this? Daddy says she saw it in a store and knew she had to get it for me, even though I wasn't born yet. That sounds like something she'd do. Lily's voice was soft. She was always buying things for people she loved. Do you miss her? The question was so direct, so innocent. Lily looked at Emma with shiny eyes. Every day? Me too, even though I don't really remember her that well. That's okay. I remember her enough for both of us, and your dad does too. Emma seemed satisfied with this. She showed Lily the rest of her room, narrating every important detail. The rock collection, the art supplies, the closet full of dress-up clothes. Nathan leaned against the door frame, watching. This should feel weird. Lily and Emma's room, talking about Caroline being part of their life. But it didn't. It felt right in a way he couldn't quite explain. Maria appeared with coffee. Kitchen's too formal. I put it in the living room. They migrated downstairs. The living room was less ostentatious than the foyer, comfortable furniture, actual signs of life. Emma immediately pulled out her guitar. I'm going to play you my song, she announced. You learned a whole song already? Lily asked. Well, 3 chords, but my teacher says that's enough for lots of songs. She proceeded to play something that was technically 3 chords, but not technically a song. Lily applauded anyway. That was great. I'm still learning. You're doing amazing, Emma beamed. Then she yawned. Someone's tired, Nathan observed. I'm not tired. You just yawned. That was a bored yawn, not a tired yawn. Those are the same yawn. Emma was definitely fading. The park, the ice cream, the excitement, it was all catching up with her. Why don't you go rest for a bit, Nathan suggested. Lily and I will be here. But what if Lily leaves? I won't leave without saying goodbye, Lily promised. I learned that lesson. Emma considered this. Okay, but just for a little bit. She went upstairs. They heard her bedroom door close. Nathan and Lily sat on opposite ends of the couch with their coffee. The house was quiet except for the distant sound of Maria doing something in the kitchen. Your house is insane, Lily said. I know. I mean, I knew you were rich, but this is... She gestured around. This is a different level. It's too much. I bought it thinking Emma needed space to grow, but really it's just empty most of the time. Seems lonely. It is. Lily looked at him over her coffee mug. Thank you for today, for letting me meet Emma, for bringing me here. I know it wasn't easy. Thank you for coming, for not running away. I thought about it several times. I know, I could tell. She smiled. Am I that obvious? You get this look, like you're calculating the nearest exit. I do that. Lily set down her mug. But I'm glad I stayed. Emma's wonderful. You're doing a good job with her. I'm doing an adequate job at best. Stop that. You're there. You care. You're trying. That's more than a lot of kids get. Nathan wanted to argue, but the look on her face said she knew what she was talking about. Her own childhood hadn't been easy. He remembered Caroline mentioning it once or twice. Something about a father who left and a mother who checked out emotionally. What happens now? Nathan asked. You already asked me that at the park. You didn't really answer. Because I don't know. Lily tucked her feet under her. I like this. Being here, knowing Emma, spending time with you, but I'm also terrified of what it means. Why? Because I'm not part of your world, Nathan. This house, your life, your success. I don't fit into any of it. You fit into the parts that matter. Like what? Like Emma liking you. Like me actually wanting to come home instead of staying at the office until midnight. Like feeling less alone. Lily looked at him for a long moment. You're not as emotionally constipated as Maria thinks. High praise. I'm serious. You're actually pretty good at saying what you mean. Years of practice at board meetings. I don't think it's that. She leaned forward slightly. I think you're just honest when it matters. Nathan felt something shift in the air between them. Not dramatic, just different. Like they were finally saying the things they'd been dancing around for weeks. I want you in my life, he said. However that looks. Friend, more than friend, whatever. I just don't want you to disappear again. I don't want to disappear either. But Nathan, I need you to understand something. I can't be Caroline for you. Or for Emma. I'm not her replacement. I know that. Do you? Because sometimes I feel like maybe you're looking at me and seeing her, missing her through me. Nathan sat with that. Was she right? He'd been asking himself the same question for weeks. I miss her every day, he said finally. But when I look at you, I see you. Not her ghost. You're different people. You always were. How? Caroline was all momentum. Always moving, always planning, always 3 steps ahead. You're more, he searched for the word, grounded, present. You noticed things she'd blow right past. Lily smiled sadly. She'd hate hearing that. She always wanted to slow down but couldn't figure out how. Yeah, she would have liked you more after the last 5 years, though. You've gotten quieter. Trauma will do that. For both of us. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, the sun was starting to set. The house was golden with late afternoon light. I should probably go, Lily said, before I wear out my welcome. You're not wearing anything out. Still, Emma's resting and I don't want to intrude on your evening. Nathan wanted to argue but couldn't find a good reason to make her stay. Let me drive you. It's fine. I can take a rideshare. Lily. Nathan. I'm driving you. Stop arguing. She smiled. Okay. They went upstairs to tell Emma goodbye. She was in her room, not quite asleep but close. She sat up when they came in. You're leaving? I need to get home, Lily said. But I had a really nice time today. Me too. Emma got out of bed and hugged Lily without warning. Can you come back? Lily hugged her back, looking surprised and touched. If your dad says it's okay. Daddy always says okay to the things I really want. Then probably yes. Emma released her and climbed back into bed. Bye, Lily. Bye, Emma. They drove to Riverside with the radio playing quietly. Lily looked out the window, lost in thought. What are you thinking about? Nathan asked. How different my life would be if I'd made different choices 5 years ago. Like what? Like asking for help instead of running. Like staying instead of leaving. Like believing people when they said they cared about me. You can't change the past. I know, but I can try not to make the same mistakes again. Nathan pulled up to her building. Lily unbuckled but didn't get out immediately. Thank you for today, she said. Really, it meant a lot. Same time next week? The restaurant? Actually, Lily hesitated. What if we did something different? Not a restaurant, maybe just a walk or something. Less pressure. I'd like that. Okay, I'll text you. She got out of the car, then leaned back in. Nathan? Yeah? I'm trying. With this. With us. With Emma. I'm really trying not to mess it up. I know, me too. Good, she smiled. See you next week. She walked to her building, and Nathan drove home feeling like maybe, possibly, this whole thing wasn't going to implode after all. Emma was asleep when he got back. Maria was in the kitchen making dinner. So, she said when Nathan walked in. That went well? Were you spying? I prefer the term observing from a respectful distance. That's spying, Maria shrugged. She's good with Emma, and good for you. It's complicated. Everything worth having is complicated. She handed him a plate. Eat something. You've been running on coffee and anxiety all day. Nathan took the plate. Thanks, Maria. That's what I'm here for. Well, that and preventing you from emotionally constipating yourself to death. Can we please retire that phrase? Not until you go to therapy. You're relentless. It's a gift. Nathan ate dinners in the kitchen while Maria cleaned up. His phone buzzed. Lily, Emma's wonderful. You've done an amazing job with her. She liked you too. Pretty sure you're her new favorite person. I doubt that. But I'll take second place. You're selling yourself short. Maybe. Still getting used to the idea that people might actually want me around. I want you around. There was a long pause. Then, I'm starting to believe that. Nathan smiled at his phone like an idiot. Maria noticed and smirked but had the good sense not to comment. The rest of the week passed in a blur of work, and Emma, and constant text messages with Lily. Nothing deep, just small things. Pictures of her coffee shop, updates on Emma's guitar lessons, complaints about Nathan's insane work hours, jokes about Maria's running commentary on his emotional state. It felt comfortable, natural, like they were building something without having to define exactly what it was. Friday night, Emma was getting ready for bed when she asked the question Nathan had been waiting for. Is Lily your girlfriend now? I don't know. We're figuring it out. Do you like her? Yeah, I do. Like her? Or friend like her? Nathan sat on the edge of her bed. Honest answer? I'm not sure yet. But I like spending time with her, and I like that she makes me happy. Emma considered this with her usual seriousness. Do you think Mommy would be okay with it? The question hit harder than Nathan expected. Yeah, sweetheart. I think she would. How do you know? Because your mom loved me, and she'd want me to be happy, just like I'd want her to be happy if things were reversed. That makes sense. Emma yawned. I like Lily. She's nice, and she remembered about the elephants. She did. Can we see her again soon? Yeah, we're meeting up tomorrow. Can I come? Not this time. But soon, okay? Emma nodded, already half asleep. Nathan kissed her forehead and turned out the light. Saturday afternoon, he met Lily at a park on the north side of the city. Different from last week, bigger, less crowded. She was sitting on a bench when he arrived, wearing jeans and a sweater, looking more relaxed than he'd seen her in weeks. Hi, she said when he sat down. Hi. They started walking the trail that wound through the park. It was a perfect fall day, cool, but not cold, leaves changing colors, the kind of weather that made you glad to be alive. I've been thinking, Lily said after a few minutes. About what I want. From this. From us. Nathan's heart rate picked up. And I think I want to try. Actually try. Not just dinner once a week and texting safe things, but really seeing if this could be something. Like dating. Like dating, if you want that. Nathan stopped walking. Lily stopped too, turning to face him. Yeah, he said. I want that. Even though I'm a mess? Even though we're both messes. Lily smiled. Okay, so we're doing this. We're doing this. What do we tell Emma? The truth. That we like each other and we're seeing where it goes. She's going to ask a million questions. Definitely. And Maria's going to have opinions. Without a doubt. Lily stepped closer. And your friends will have thoughts. And people will wonder why a billionaire is dating a coffee shop manager. And it's going to be complicated and messy and probably hard. Probably. Are you ready for that? Nathan reached out, took her hand. No, but I want to try anyway. Lily looked at their joined hands. Me too. They started walking again, hands still linked, and it felt like something had fundamentally shifted. Like they'd finally stopped fighting against whatever this was and decided to let it happen. Can I ask you something? Nathan said. Sure. What made you decide to try this? Lily was quiet for a moment. Emma. And watching you with her, and realizing that you're not just successful or rich or any of that surface stuff. You're a good person who's trying really hard to do right by the people you love. And I thought, maybe I could be one of those people. Maybe I could let myself be loved instead of running away from it. That's a lot of pressure. You already said that, at the restaurant. It's still true. I know. But I think maybe you're worth the pressure, and maybe I am too. Nathan squeezed her hand. You definitely are. They walked until the sun started setting, talking about everything and nothing. The future felt less terrifying than it had in years. Still uncertain, still complicated, but possible in a way it hadn't been before. When Nathan dropped Lily off at her apartment, she kissed him on the cheek before getting out of the car. "See you next week," she said. "Looking forward to it." "Me too." She walked to her building, turned to wave before going inside. Nathan sat there for a moment, touching his cheek where she'd kissed him, feeling something that might have been hope. His heart had stopped 3 weeks ago. Now it was beating steady and strong. For Emma. For Lily. For the life he was finally letting himself build instead of just survive. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was real. And after 5 years of going through the motions, real was exactly what he needed. 3 months changed everything and nothing at all. Nathan still worked too much, though he'd cut back to 50-hour weeks instead of 70. Emma still changed her mind about her interests every other Tuesday. Maria still offered unsolicited commentary on everyone's emotional state. And Lily still showed up to their dates in thrift store clothes that she refused to let Nathan replace. But the house felt less empty now. The silence less oppressive. The future less like something to survive and more like something to actually live. Lily had dinner with them twice a week. Sometimes at the house, sometimes at cheap restaurants she insisted on choosing because not everywhere needs to have cloth napkins, Nathan. Emma adored her. Maria approved, which carried more weight than Nathan wanted to admit. And slowly, carefully, they were building something that felt real. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever was. "You're doing it again," Lily said one Tuesday evening. They were in Nathan's kitchen, his actual kitchen, not a restaurant, while Emma did homework at the table and Maria pretended not to eavesdrop from the living room. "Doing what?" "That thing where you check your phone every 3 minutes like the company will implode if you're not watching." Nathan looked down at his phone, caught. "I'm just being a workaholic. I know." Lily took the phone from his hand and set it on the counter. "Dinner first, crisis management later." "What if it's actually a crisis?" "Then James will handle it. That's literally his job." "But, Nathan," she turned to face him fully, "we've talked about this. You can't keep living like work is the only thing that matters." "I don't." "You do. And I get it. Work is safe. Work makes sense. Work doesn't require you to feel things. But you promised you'd try." She was right. He hated that she was right. "I am trying," he said. "Try harder." Emma looked up from her homework. "Lily's right, Daddy. You promised. You're supposed to be on my side." "I'm on the side of you not dying from a heart attack," Maria called from the living room. "The child makes an excellent point." "Everyone in this house is against me," Nathan muttered. Lily kissed his cheek. "We're for you, not against you. There's a difference." They ate dinner, actual homemade food that Lily had taught Nathan to cook because you can't live on takeout forever. And Nathan managed to not check his phone until after dessert. Progress. Later, after Emma went to bed and Maria retreated to her room, Nathan and Lily sat in the living room with wine. Well, Lily had wine. Nathan had switched to water after his cardiologist had made pointed comments about alcohol consumption. "How's the therapy going?" Lily asked. Nathan had started sessions 2 months ago, after Lily had basically dragged him to the first appointment. He'd been skeptical, resistant, convinced it was a waste of time. He'd been wrong. "It's fine," he said. "That's not an answer. It's helpful sometimes. When I actually talk instead of deflecting. Which is how often." "Getting better." Lily smiled. "I'm proud of you." "For what? Going to therapy? That's basic adulting." "For trying to be better." "That's not basic. That's hard." Nathan looked at her, really looked. She'd changed too over the last 3 months. Still wore the same thrift store style, still worked at the coffee shop, still refused his money. But she'd gained weight in a healthy way, the kind that came from not skipping meals or living on stress. Her eyes were brighter. Her smile came easier. "You're staring," she said. "You're pretty. That's the wine talking. I'm drinking water. Then you're delirious." "Probably." She laughed and moved closer on the couch. They'd been taking things slow, painfully slow by normal standards. Kissing, yes, but nothing beyond that. Both of them too aware of the complicated history, the grief, The way this relationship was built on trauma and loss, and the ghost of a woman they both loved. "Can I ask you something?" Lily said. "Always." "Do you ever feel guilty? About us?" Nathan had been waiting for this question. "Sometimes. Do you?" "All the time." She turned her wine glass in circles. "Like I'm betraying Caroline by being with you, or like I'm using her death as an excuse to have something I wanted but couldn't have when she was alive." "Did you want it? When she was alive?" Lily was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know, maybe. There were moments where I'd see you two together and wonder what it would be like, but I never would have acted on it. She was my best friend. And now? Now she's gone, and we're here, and I still feel like we're doing something wrong even though I know we're not." Nathan reached for her hand. "My therapist says grief doesn't have an expiration date, that there's no timeline for moving on, that loving someone new doesn't mean you love the first person less." "Your therapist sounds smart." "She is. Annoyingly so." "Do you believe her? About the moving on thing?" "I'm trying to. Some days it's easier than others." Lily leaned her head on his shoulder. "I miss her. Even now. Even while I'm sitting here with you being happy, I still miss her." "Me too." They sat like that for a while. Missing Caroline together. It had become its own kind of intimacy, being able to grieve the same person while building something new. "Emma asked me something today," Lily said eventually. "What?" "If I was going to be her new mom." Nathan tensed. "What did you say?" "I told her no, that I could never replace her mom, but that I could be someone who loved her and was there for her if she wanted that." "What did she say?" "She said okay. Then she asked if that meant you were my boyfriend now." "And?" "I told her yes. Was that okay?" Nathan smiled. "Yeah, that was okay." "Good, because she's already planned our wedding." "She what?" "I'm wearing a purple dress, apparently." "You're wearing a tux. There will be elephants." "Live elephants?" "She wasn't specific on that point." Nathan laughed. "Of course she's planning our wedding. She's been planning everything else in my life." "She's a born manager. Wonder where she gets that." "Definitely Caroline. I'm terrible at managing anything that isn't work." Lily sat up to look at him. "You're managing this pretty well." "This?" "Us. Emma. Your life. You're doing better than you think." "I'm still a mess." "We all are. But you're a mess who's trying. That counts." Nathan kissed her then, soft and slow and full of all the things he didn't know how to say. She kissed him back, her hand coming up to cup his face. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. "What?" he asked. "Just thinking about how 3 months ago I thought I'd never see you again. And now you're here. We're here. It's weird." "Good weird or bad weird?" "Good weird. Definitely good weird." The weeks rolled on. Summer arrived, bringing heat and Emma's school break and logistics that required actual planning. Nathan took 2 weeks off, actual time off, not working from home while pretending to be on vacation, and they rented a house at the beach. All of them. Nathan, Emma, Lily, and even Maria, who Nathan had insisted come along because someone needs to make sure I don't turn this into a working vacation. The house was too big, right on the water, exactly the kind of place that screamed rich people vacation. Lily had been uncomfortable at first. "This is excessive," she'd said when they arrived. "It has a pool," Emma pointed out. "We're literally on the beach." "Beach pool and ocean pool are different things." "That doesn't make sense." Emma had shrugged. "It doesn't have to make sense. It's vacation." They fell into an easy rhythm. Mornings at the beach with Emma building elaborate sandcastles. Afternoons by the pool while Emma napped and Maria read mystery novels. Evenings cooking together and playing board games that Emma won with suspicious frequency. "She's cheating," Nathan said after Emma crushed them at Monopoly for the 3rd time. "I'm strategic," Emma corrected. "You're 6. "Strategic 6. Lily laughed so hard she cried. On the 4th night, after Emma went to bed, Nathan and Lily walked along the beach. The moon was full, reflecting off the water in a way that would have been romantic if Nathan wasn't hyper-aware of how much sand was getting in his shoes. "You're thinking too loud," Lily said. "I'm not thinking." "You're always thinking. I can hear the gears turning." Nathan stopped walking. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course." "I'm happy. Like, actually happy. Not just okay or managing or surviving, actually happy. Lily smiled. Me too. It's weird, right? After everything. After Caroline. After 5 years of being miserable. It feels almost wrong to be this happy. It's not wrong. It's just different. She took his hand. We're allowed to be happy. Caroline would want that. You think? I know. She told me once, this was years ago, before Emma, she said if anything ever happened to her, she didn't want you to be alone forever. She wanted you to find someone who made you happy. Nathan felt his throat tighten. She said that? Yeah, we were talking about life insurance or something equally depressing, and she made me promise that if something happened, I'd make sure you didn't just shut down completely. You broke that promise. You disappeared. I know. I'm sorry. I wasn't strong enough then, but I'm trying to make up for it now. You don't have to make up for anything. Maybe not, but I want to be here. For you and Emma. If you'll let me. Nathan pulled her close. I'll let you. They stood there on the beach, holding each other while waves crashed and the moon shone, and somewhere in the distance Emma probably had her face pressed to the window watching them. She's definitely watching us, Lily said, reading his mind. Definitely. Should we give her a show? What did you have in mind? Lily kissed him, longer than usual, less careful. When they pulled apart, she was grinning. Think she got a good view? I'm going to hear about this at breakfast. Worth it. They walked back to the house hand in hand. Emma was indeed at the window, waving enthusiastically. They waved back. Maria met them at the door. The child saw you kissing. She has questions. Of course she does. Important questions about when you're getting married and if she gets to be the flower girl. We've been dating 4 months. She's a planner, like her father. Nathan rubbed his face. Can this wait until morning? Absolutely not. She's already designing the invitations. Lily was trying not to laugh. I should probably go help with that. She went upstairs. Nathan could hear Emma's excited chatter even from the first floor. You're good for him, Maria said quietly. Nathan looked at her. Lily? Both of them. Emma's different since Lily came back. Lighter, less worried about you all the time. She worried about me. Constantly. Asked me at least once a week if you were going to die like her mother. Nathan felt like he'd been punched. She never told me that. Because she's 6 and she didn't want to make you sad. But now she has Lily asking the same questions, telling you to take care of yourself. She doesn't have to carry that alone anymore. I didn't know. You do now. So keep getting better. Keep letting them in. Keep being happy. Maria patted his shoulder and went to her room, leaving Nathan standing in the hallway processing the fact that his 6-year-old had been carrying that weight without him knowing. He went upstairs, found Lily and Emma in Emma's room surrounded by paper and crayons. We're designing your wedding, Emma announced. I see that. You're getting married at the beach. Because you kissed at the beach, so that's romantic. Is that so? That's so. Emma held up a drawing. This is you. This is Lily. This is me throwing flowers. The drawing was objectively terrible and absolutely perfect. What do you think? Lily asked, eyes shining with barely suppressed laughter. I think we're getting married at the beach, apparently. Oh, good. I was worried I'd have a say in this. Emma continued planning, unbothered by the fact that no one had actually proposed. Nathan sat on the floor next to Lily and watched his daughter design their future with total confidence that it would happen exactly as she imagined. You okay? Lily whispered. Yeah. Just thinking about how different everything is now. Good different? The best different. Later, after Emma finally fell asleep, still clutching her wedding plans, Nathan and Lily sat on the deck overlooking the ocean. She's going to be disappointed when we don't actually get married next month, Lily said. Who says we're not? Lily turned to look at him. Nathan, I'm kidding, mostly. But for the record, I would marry you. Not next month, but someday. We've been dating 4 months. I know, that's why I said someday, not tomorrow. Lily was quiet for a long moment. You're serious? Yeah, I am. Is that crazy? Probably, but I think I'd say yes. Someday. Nathan felt something settle in his chest. Not pressure, not anxiety, just certainty. Good to know, no. They sat there watching the waves, both thinking about some days and futures and how grief and loss could somehow lead to this, peace and possibility and hope. The vacation ended. They went back to real life, work and school, and the regular routines. But something had shifted. The relationship felt more solid, more real, less like something that might break if they looked at it wrong. Lily started staying over more often. Not moving in, she wasn't ready for that, and Nathan didn't push. But a toothbrush appeared in his bathroom, then clothes in his closet, then her terrible coffee maker because she couldn't stand his fancy espresso machine. Emma was thrilled. Maria was smug. Marcus claimed full credit despite having nearly ruined everything. "You're welcome," he said at dinner one night. He said a buoscat. He'd finally worn Nathan down into accepting a double date. Marcus and his wife, Nathan and Lily. "You ambushed us," Nathan said. "I strategically arranged a meeting. You didn't tell either of us who we were meeting." "Details." Lily was laughing. "Honestly, if you had told me, I would have run. See? My way worked." "Your way nearly gave us both heart attacks. But you're together now, so I'm a genius." Nathan's phone buzzed. He ignored it. Marcus noticed. "Wow, you didn't immediately check that. Character growth. I'm working on it." "He's in therapy now," Lily said proudly. "And cardiac rehab," Nathan added. "And I see a nutritionist." "Look at you, being responsible." Marcus raised his glass. "To Nathan finally getting his life together." "To Lily putting up with him while he does," Marcus's wife added. They drank to that. 6 months became 8. 8 became 10. The seasons changed. Emma turned 7. Lily got promoted at the coffee shop. Actual manager now, not just supervisor. Nathan cut back to 40-hour weeks and the company didn't implode. His therapist said he was making real progress. His cardiologist said his heart was healthier than it had been in years. Emma said he smiled more now. They were all probably right. It was December when Nathan finally did it, planned it for weeks with Emma's enthusiastic help and Maria's knowing smiles. Got the ring, nothing excessive, knowing Lily would hate anything too flashy. Simple band, small diamond, elegant without being showy. He chose the park where they'd had their first real conversation as a couple, the one where Lily had said she wanted to try. Full circle felt appropriate. Emma insisted on being there, hidden behind a tree with Maria, both of them armed with cameras. "You're going to give away the surprise," Nathan had argued. "I'm very sneaky," Emma had insisted. She was not, in fact, very sneaky. But Lily was good at pretending not to notice things. They walked the trail like they had dozens of times before. Lily was talking about work, about her terrible boss finally retiring, about the possibility of buying into the coffee shop as a partial owner. "That's great," Nathan said, distracted. "You're not listening." "I am." "What did I just say?" "Something about coffee?" Lily stopped walking. "Okay, what's going on? You've been weird all day." "I'm not weird." "You're definitely weird. Did something happen at work?" "No." "With Emma?" "No." "Then what?" Nathan knelt down. Right there on the path, pulled out the ring. Lily's eyes went wide. "Oh my God." "Lily Harper," Nathan started. "Oh my God." "Let me finish." "You're proposing." "That's generally what the kneeling and ring indicate, yes. But we've only been dating 10 months, I know. Which is why if you want to say no, that's fine. We can wait. But I wanted you to know that I'm sure. About you. About us. About wanting to build a life together." Lily was staring at him. "Nathan, you've changed everything. Made my life better. Made Emma's life better. Made me want to be better. And I know I'm still a work in progress. I still work too much sometimes. I'm still emotionally constipated, according to Maria. But I'm trying, and I want to keep trying with you. Nathan, and I know you're scared, that you think you don't fit into my world, but you do. You fit perfectly. Right here." He pressed his hand to his chest. "With Emma and me and this life we're building. So if you're ready, if you want this too, then marry me. And if you're not ready, then just know that I'll wait, however long it takes." Lily was crying. "You practiced that." Emma helped. It was really good. So is that a yes? You didn't let me talk. Sorry. Okay, your turn. Lily wiped her eyes, laughing and crying at the same time. You're an idiot. I'm aware. A sweet idiot, but still an idiot. She knelt down so they were eye level. I'm terrified. Of this. Of us. Of screwing it up. Me too. But I love you. I love Emma. I love this life we're building, even though it terrifies me. So yes. Obviously yes. Nathan slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Behind the tree, Emma was definitely not being sneaky, squealing loud enough to scare birds. Lily laughed. She's been here the whole time, hasn't she? Since we arrived. Of course she has. Emma ran out from behind the tree, Maria following at a more dignified pace. Emma launched herself at both of them, hugging them while they were still kneeling on the ground. You said yes. I knew you'd say yes. Did you now? Lily asked. Obviously, because you love Daddy and Daddy loves you and I love both of you, so it's perfect. That's some sound logic, Maria observed. They stood up, all of them, and Emma insisted on seeing the ring approximately 40 times. It's pretty, but not too pretty, she decided. Very Lily. Thank you? That's a compliment. I'll take it. They walked back to the car, Emma between them, holding both their hands. Maria walked behind, taking pictures that Nathan knew would end up in frames all over the house. When's the wedding? Emma asked. We just got engaged 5 minutes ago, Nathan said. So, next month? Probably not. 3 months? Emma, 6 months max. I'm not waiting longer than that, Lily laughed. 6 months might actually work. Nathan looked at her. Really? Why wait? We've already done the hard part, figuring out if we work. We do. 6 months it is then. Emma cheered. I'm telling everyone. She ran ahead to the car. Maria followed, shaking her head fondly. Nathan and Lily walked slower, hands linked. You know this is crazy, right? Lily said. Completely insane. Your friends are going to have opinions. Let them. People will talk about the timing, about Caroline, about everything. I don't care. Lily stopped walking. Really? You don't care? I care about you and Emma and building a life that makes us happy. Everything else is just noise. She kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of promise. I love you, she said. I love you too. They got in the car. Emma was already on the phone with someone, probably Marcus, who was going to be absolutely insufferable about this. The drive home was loud and chaotic and perfect. Emma narrating their entire wedding in detail, Maria offering commentary. Lily laughing at all of it. Nathan drove and felt his heart beating steady and strong. Not stopping, not struggling, just beating the way it was supposed to. The wedding happened 6 months later, almost to the day. Small ceremony, close friends and family only. At the beach, like Emma had demanded. No elephants, but there were elephant decorations everywhere. Emma was the flower girl, wearing purple as dictated by her original plans. Maria cried, which she claimed was allergies. Marcus gave a speech that was only slightly embarrassing. Nathan stood at the altar watching Lily walk toward him and thought about the night his heart had stopped. How terrified he'd been. How certain that his life was ending. He'd been wrong. It wasn't ending. It was just beginning. Lily reached him, took his hands. She was wearing the purple dress Emma had picked out, ridiculous and beautiful and so perfectly her. Hi, she whispered. Hi. Ready for this? Terrified. You? Same. Let's do it anyway. They said their vows, simple, honest things about love and partnership and choosing each other every day, about honoring Caroline's memory while building something new, about being there for Emma, together. When the officiant said Nathan could kiss his bride, Emma cheered so loud half the guests jumped. The reception was exactly as chaotic as expected. Emma danced with everyone. Maria got tipsy and told embarrassing stories. Marcus claimed full credit for everything. Late in the evening, Nathan and Lily snuck away from the party, walked down to the beach where the moon reflected off the water. We did it, Lily said. We did. I'm married to a billionaire. That's weird. I'm married to someone who still insists on buying thrift store clothes. That's equally weird. Balance. Something like that. They stood there holding each other, listening to waves and distant music from the reception. Thank you, Nathan said. For what? For coming back? For staying? For saying yes? Thank you for asking, for being patient, for loving me even when I was a mess. We were both messes. We still are, just together now. That's the best kind of mess, Lily laughed. I love you. I love you too. Back at the reception, Emma was probably looking for them. Maria was definitely making knowing comments. The party would go on without them for a few more minutes, but right now, right here, it was just them. The ocean, the moonlight, and the future stretching out ahead, uncertain, complicated, beautiful. Nathan's heart beat steady in his chest, strong and sure. Not stopping, not failing, just beating. For Lily, for Emma, for the life they'd built from grief and loss and the unexpected grace of second chances. It wasn't the life he'd planned. It wasn't the one he'd imagined 5 years ago when Caroline died and everything fell apart. But it was good, real, worth living for. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.